Alright, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing transmission. This is your host, Mr. BDA. I'm glad everybody could be along. And alongside with me, as always, my co-host, the one, the only King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Now listen, you guys know the drill. If you want to join us, go on over to Google Hangouts. Send us an instant message with the email address that's on top of your screen. It's boxingdebate@hotmail.com. That's boxingdebate@hotmail.com. I see we already have a bunch of people in the chat room. Shout out to Hakuna Matata, Rock Forever, Ivan Arauz, Mean Machine Mash, Undercover Asian, Apology Man, Guerrero de la Info, The Fight Scout, Shuhu, and many more to come, I am sure. It's amazing how much can happen within 24 hours. And that's essentially what we had with this past day. A lot of announcements. Well, maybe for some of you, for other people, they don't care too much about some of the announcements that have been made. And of course, the big fight, the rematch, much expected rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. And then, of course, we have, again, another decision which a lot of people disagree with. We'll get into that as more people start coming on. Of course, Bucho and I will give our thoughts before this podcast descends into madness. Don't forget to check out our podcast via Stitcher. What's the other one, Bucho? Because I don't have my list. iTunes. What's the other one?
Google, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Playlist.
Google Playlist, yes. Don't forget to check out our affiliate links. We do get a small commission from those, and that money, those funds, go to the BDA Research and Development team. And don't forget to check out our Was Vladimir Klitschko boring video. I think the answer speaks for itself, by the way, just by reading the title. So now let's get into it. I hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. Undercover Asian says, didn't Triple G eat the same amount of body shots as he did in the first fight? Either the shots were cleaner or he was just older and more fatigued. Fight Fan Phil says, we just started. To Cameron. Hold on a second. Alright. So, yeah, we got that shit here. Apology Man, McGregor Khabib face off on September the 20th. Interesting. Triple G knew he lost, says Fight Fan Phil. Here is really Hagler 2.0. I can see the parallels there. I can really see the parallels there. Hagler didn't get the big fights until he started slipping. Of course, Hagler started slipping at 31 or 30. Well, by the time he lost to Leonard, he was 32. But the point remains the same. It's like Triple G never really got... But again, hold on. We're going to give Canelo credit for what happened last night as well. Shu, who says, jabs don't count anymore, boys. Triple G didn't impose his game like he did in the first one, but he still won this competitive fight, 8-4. Undercover Asian says, Fight Fan, the pressure moving back in general sucks. It takes more energy. That's probably what tired out Canelo in the first fight. Not having to move much or being able to move forward is easy. Fight Fan Phil says, Hagler had many more fights too. And don't forget, he had to go through the Philadelphia circuit against guys like Bobo Olsen and the Worm Monroe and Benny Briscoe. I mean, yeah, that took its toll on him. Golovkin, for his part, had a much more clean. It wasn't until the Kell Brook fight where he really started to find some resistance. Pablo Rezendi says Triple G was pushing his punches. At some point, yeah, it did seem like he wasn't. Against Canelo, Canelo's the only guy who's made him look like a normal puncher. You gotta give Canelo a lot of credit for that. Nino Gaggi says, I was drunk. I just need to rewatch the fight. I had it very, very close. Aziz says, no credit for tainted beef. The Fight Scout says, I'm hearing a lot of 8-4. Alright, Bucho, before we continue, because I want to get your thoughts on this, what did you think of the fight last night? Of course, Canelo winning a majority decision, which some people are saying is a disputed decision. He came forward. He fought Mexican style. And the guy whose team kept calling for Mexican style decided not to do it. Which, if we remember, we talked about this in the past podcast. It would be probably smart for Triple G to try to make Canelo come to him. What did you think? How did you see the fight? Did you think it worked for Golovkin? Do you think he lost? What are your thoughts?
I think Canelo won 7-5.
Right.
Especially the early rounds, Canelo won them. Golovkin was on the back foot, man. And it's like, oh, he's boxing. Yeah, but he was also getting hit at the same time. It wasn't like he was popping a jab and and taking little steps back and just like being a boxer. He was actually
Hmm.
getting hit in the process. So, and what I think, see, when it's a close rounds and both guys are hitting each other, I give the round to the guy that's putting on the aggression and coming forward, and that was Canelo. So some of these what people would consider close rounds, I gave him to Canelo.
Now let me,
So I think I had round three close, round five, and round nine that were close.
now let me ask you
Uh,
this:
Go ahead
the Canelo was landing body shots, or he
as
was
well.
throwing a lot of body shots. He was throwing a lot of. Did you think a lot of those were landing and taking their toll on Golovkin, or do you think Golovkin was blocking most of them?
He blocked some of them, but some of them were landing.
Hmm.
I don't know how much damage they had. I saw Golovkin get tired. Was that due to the body shots? I don't think so. I mean, so I can't really tell how much the body shots had an effect. There wasn't that many, but there were enough so that you could like give Canelo some reasons to as to why he won the round. If you want to count some the body shots that he was landing,
Right.
Golovkin landed a lot of jabs. Uh, Also, Golovkin. It's true that the harder punches were landed by Golovkin, but they were landed in between like around 9, 10, and then 11. But before that, you didn't see Canelo get hit. That like his head wasn't all over the fucking place.
Hmm.
So when people say like, "Well, look at this punch, look at that punch," they show you highlights of Golovkin landing hard, like really hard shots. They were all in between a space of 3 rounds. So you can't really use that as a well. Look, he landed this punch. He won the fight. Like, it's a round by round sport. You evaluate
Right.
every round and then you count how many rounds a guy won.
Well, I gotta tell you something. It's interesting you mentioned that because you said the fight you had Canelo winning, but now was it a competitive fight in your eyes? It could have gone either way, or do you
It could
think
have
it
gone
was
either way at 115, 113. Either
okay?
way,
Now, did you know when they said majority decision? Did you know it was gonna go to Canelo?
no.
Okay. Well, see, I'll give you my thing. And by the way, your prediction was Canelo majority decision, so you got that one right on the money.
Yeah.
And also another thing you got right on the money was when you said, imagine if Canelo starts fighting the way Abel Sanchez fights and then wins that way. What the fuck is Abel Sanchez gonna say? And
Exactly. Can I
to
just
his
say something
credit,
about Abel Sanchez?
go ahead.
He was on ESPN Spanish and he actually congratulated Canelo. Oh, thank you, Undercover Asian. He says, keep up the good work. Thank you for your contribution, Undercover Asian. Um, yeah, Abel Sanchez congratulated Canelo, and then he didn't complain about the decision.
Hmm.
He said it was a close decision. I think he had it a draw, but he wasn't crying robber or anything.
Do you
So
think he didn't
that
cry
just tells
robber
you it was a
because
close fight.
do you think he didn't cry robber because he knew the fight was close, or because he would have looked like an asshole after all the talking he did, and
No,
then to
because he's
complain
an honest
twice?
man, and he knows that this was a close fight. And to say that this was a robbery, then it would just undermine the first fight, which was an actual robbery.
Uh huh.
He would end up looking like Juan Manuel Marquez there, who always complained about robberies. Like, remember when he lost against Bradley? He was like complaining about the
Oh yeah.
robbery. Like, you just look at it, like you look like an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be. They always say the ultra competitive people always say, "Well, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser." But come on, there is such a thing as losing with grace and with dignity. And at this point, he went the right route. What's his name? Abel Sanchez. He had to lose, and I mean, he lost, and he had to admit, listen, we did everything. Because listen, I'll tell you, my prediction was Canelo by decision, but I had said it was gonna be another controversial because it was gonna be another one of those fights where you don't think I mean, where you thought it could have gone either way. And Apology Man donated 5. Well, actually, through the super chat. Yeah, I thought it was Patreon. He donated to the super chat. Thank you, Apology Man, for your contribution. And he says, "What did you think of the undercard?" Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But let me just get my thoughts in here about the fight. I said Canelo by decision, but I knew it was gonna be controversial. I knew a lot of Golovkin fans and the majority of the media were gonna complain. And as predicted, a lot of people are picking Triple G, and with good reason. Because I'll tell you what, I've only seen the fight once, which was last night. I had Triple G winning. I thought he was murdering Canelo with those jabs. and he was also landing big shots in between. Of course, Canelo was also landing his own shots, and he was going to the body. Now, you guys know I'm a sucker for body shots. I love to see people going down to the body. And I knew the difference. I mean, I'm tooting my own horn here a little bit, but I have to because it's not every day that I get a fight correct. But I knew Canelo's hand speed was going to be his advantage with the judges, because Triple G has looked very slow he looked very slow against Canelo in the first fight. And it seems like he knocks everybody else out except for Canelo. He couldn't even move him unless he landed clean while Canelo was punching. If Canelo blocked, the shots just seemed to bounce off the guy. He's built like a bull. And I knew the judges were going to favor his hand speed. That's not to say he didn't fight a good fight, but I just preferred Golovkin's space. He threw a lot of shots. He left it all in the ring. So did Canelo, but I just thought Triple G was one step ahead with the jabs. But I can understand why the judges gave it to Canelo, especially the way he fought, which was going forward and letting his hands go. I disagree with the decision, but that's the way it went. Now, Triple G, okay, he didn't get the big win he wanted, but he's going to have to take this one like a man and move on. Right, Bucho?
Yeah, because I think it's a close fight. It's sad because Golovkin won the first fight, and that was a robbery. But this fight, I think it's close, and you can't really complain. I mean,
I think you
Golovkin.
can.
This is why Golovkin won, and his camp won it. They wanted a Canelo that was standing right there, not running, and well, they didn't take advantage of that. So I don't know what the hell their game plan was then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I do think that maybe in hindsight, it was Abel Sanchez's plan all along to get under Canelo's skin and then box him from the outside. And I thought it worked. I thought it was enough. Again, I have to rewatch the fight. Also, the other thing we have to watch out for in case there is some discrepancy with the decision. Forget about the total scorecards. We have to look at each individual round. Which rounds did the judges give to Canelo? Because if I remember correctly, again, I haven't watched the fight again, but I thought Triple G won the 12th round. He was landing the cleaner shots. He was shaking Canelo up. He was landing jabs in between. And one of the judges gave the 12th round to Canelo. So again, forget about the overall scorecards. And there's always one guy who gives a ridiculous scorecards in order to distract from the judge who gave the wrong rounds. But again, it was a close fight. And I'm glad this fight is done. I'm glad this rematch is done, because now we can move on to bigger and bigger things. But of course, we want to get everybody's opinion on this fight. What's next for both guys? How did they have the fight? And I will say that I saw Vinny Paz, the rapper, not the boxer. I went on his Twitter page because I'm always interested in what he has to say about boxing. He's a very knowledgeable boxing fan. And he was saying that he thought Triple G won, but that he agrees that it was a close fight and that it could have gone either way. And of course, somebody put in a pic of all the media and some of the other professional boxers on Twitter, how they had the fight. Again, most people, just like the first time, thought Triple G won. A lot of people are crying robbery, saying that he can never get a decision against Canelo. But then again, listen, Canelo is the guy that one judge gave him a draw against Mayweather. So if you're going up against Canelo in Las Vegas or like Texas, don't expect the judges to give you the benefit of the doubt. All right? And Canelo, by the way, we're going to talk about that, his chin. My God, does this guy have a chin. And by the way, another thing I enjoyed about the fight, it's always interesting. You learn things about yourself when you're watching a fight. And as I was watching the fight, as I was watching both guys trade shots and take shots flush on the chin, I was reminded of my own fights when I was in high school. And I remember one time I lost I always thought all my life, oh shit, I lost that one fight in high school. This guy beat me up. But now that I think about it, yeah, the guy landed more punches on me. Yeah, he split my lip. But Max Kellerman taught me that I actually won the story of the fight. You know what I'm saying? I won the story of the fight, and that's more important. Doesn't matter whether you get knocked down.
What did Kellerman say though? Because everybody's freaking out.
Oh man! Well, you know what? I'm gonna bring it up again, but I just noticed that we have people in the Hangout already, so give a shout out. Okay. Who do I start? I'm gonna start out with Cameron because he's the one that comes up first here on the files.
Fuck, mate, it's life, man. You only live once. Make the most of life. Enjoy it. Because everybody's got their weird fetishes, man. And mine just happens to be eating fucking ass.
And we got Apology on the line as well.
Speak of the devil, and it shall appear.
She just wanted
the drama and you two to fight over her. That's what women do.
Your punishment must be more severe.
All of you, all of you.
Bitches are stupid, I treat them like shit. That's how you get one to eat a dick. Never be sweet to a bitch.
All right. And we also have... I can't see here. What's going on? Butcher, who else do we have? What's his name? Not Tommy... No?
No, official boxing scorecard.
Official boxing. Official boxing scorecard. All right, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. How are you?
What's going on, man? All good.
Good, good. Good to hear that you guys are doing well. All right, let's start with... I want to start with Apology Man, because he almost always has some mic issues.
He dropped off, man.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How come I still see him?
All right, let's start with Cameron. Cameron, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, apologies there, man. Go on.
Yeah, Apology's still there. I know what you're talking about, Butcher. How about you let me ask the questions here, all right? Take a break.
Okay, whatever.
All right, Apology. Let's start with you. First of all, let's see what you predicted. You predicted Triple G 10th round TKO. That didn't happen, but I mean, how did you score the fight?
7-5 GGG. I guess it was a close fight, but man, you just know if Canelo wasn't Mexican, he wouldn't have got it. That's my main problem with it. Like,
all right.
Like, come on. We all know why Canelo won.
Are you saying Golovkin's white privilege, or rather Canelo's white privilege trumped Golovkin's white privilege? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Golovkin's not white enough.
Okay, but now on a serious note, again, some people are crying robbery. Some people are saying that it was. What do you think? It was a close enough fight that it could have gone, that it should have gone to Canelo, like it did?
I only scored it once, so I would say yes for now.
Okay.
I'm not too mad that Canelo won. I'm just mad that I know why he won, because he's Oscar's boy. And if it was like even Playfield and he won, then I wouldn't be as mad. But you know, it's just bullshit. We all know why he won.
All right, so there you have Apology Man thinking that there's some conspiracy or some foul play, some shadow play behind the scenes. And of course, who can blame him? Because like I said, Canelo's the one that got a draw. One of the judges gave him a draw against Mayweather, which has to be one of the worst cards I've ever heard of, ever. Cameron, what do you think? Who do you think won, and what are your thoughts on the overall landscape of the middleweight division now?
I thought Alvarez won 7-5. I thought it was a close fight. I wrote a few tweets actually about this morning. I want to read them out quick because a lot of people seem to agree with me. And I wrote this morning. I said anyone crying robbery about that fight last night should get their eyes checked. 2 elite fighters left all in the ring in a very close fight. Whoever gets a nod gets a nod. If you had Golovkin winning, that's fine. But to say Canelo was gifted is a ridiculous shout. Then I wrote on the potential trilogy, I went, Golovkin's 36 now. If he couldn't do a decisive number on Canelo last night, then he never will. He won the first fight, but you have to knock Alvarez out or beat the shit out of him for 12 rounds, and he's too good of a fighter for that. Alvarez wins every time. So for me, I wasn't bothered about the result last night. Like I said in the last show, I just hope to God we get a result where we can finally move on from this. I know, a lot of people thought Golovkin won, but for me, I thought Canelo won. But I can see why people say that in a way that Golovkin won 100%. But for me, saying it's a robbery is a big shout. When it's a close fight and you can see either guy winning, it's not a robbery. And a lot of people are coming out and saying, well, Golovkin, clearly won 7 rounds. If he clearly won 7 rounds, then it could still be a robbery. But realistically, it wasn't a robbery because a lot of people were split down the middle about who won that fight last night. For me, Canelo won. I'm sure everybody who comes on the panel tonight is going to feel like, half of them will say Golovkin, half of them will say Canelo. Well, I assume so. So, and Butcher had Canelo winning as well. So, and obviously you had Golovkin winning BDA, and so did Apology. So we're split down the middle. So, how can this be a robbery? And for me,
Apology had Triple G winning, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, for me though, like you can say, that Canelo won because it's Canelo. But the fact is, it was a close fight. So obviously, because Canelo's had the favoritism with the judges ridiculous before, if he wins a close fight, people are going to use that excuse of corruption as the reason he got the decision. When realistically, in my opinion, he deserved to get the decision last night. So, how was it corruption, in my opinion?
All right. Well, there you have it. And by the way, your decision, or your prediction rather, was Canelo on points. So another one gets it right. Tommy Boxeo in the chat room says good points, Cameron. So there you have it. We have one person who saw Canelo winning. So that's Bucho, and Cameron so far have Canelo winning the fight. Let's go to official scorecard, because I see we have ElDude and Trap Media. So before we get to them, let's get to official scorecard boxing. Official, how did you have the fight?
Hi, guys.
What are your thoughts on the fight?
Well, okay. First of all, I got to tell you that the last night, the last night, I, I, I'm not sure anymore if I had 8-4 or 7-5 to Golovkin, but Canelo fought a hell of a fight. I was watching the BT stream, the UK stream, and I remember up till the 8th or 9th round, I have the same scorecard as their own. So I have so much to say about the fight. I won't remember to tell you anything, but yeah, I think realistically that Triple G won 7-5, let's say. But yeah, there were some great body work from Canelo. And I had a Triple G winning, and I told you the last time, but I'm not so sure if a decision is going to go his way.
So now let me ask you this. Did you think Triple G's jab was enough to win him the fight?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, now to me it looks like people are thinking that he was the one running, while it's impossible when you look at the. I mean, I know that CompuBox punch counts are never really correct, and uh, usually they're a bit off, but if you look at the punches thrown and landed by Golovkin, he was very active, and not only the jab, I think he landed the better power shots, and unlike the first fight, he even got Canelo stunned 3 or 4 times. I mean, Canelo, I saw that he hurt Golovkin to the body in the middle rounds. I saw, but I never saw him really stunned, you know. I just saw Golovkin being hesitant in the middle rounds and kind of gassed at the moment.
Right.
But I've never seen him really hurt as I thought Canelo was.
It's interesting, man. We saw both guys display really iron chins in there. By the way, I didn't write your prediction down on my list. I think it was Bucho had a separate list. Who did you pick for this fight again? What was your prediction?
Mine.
Yes.
So it was Golovkin on points, but I was saying I'm not sure if they're going to give it to him or to Canelo.
Hey, BDA.
Yes.
I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna read the predictions that we had. So, Recognize the Matrix said Triple G by decision. Abstract Boxing said Triple G will KO Canelo. 11th round. Cameron said Canelo on points. Jimmy said Golovkin in the 7th or 6th or 7th round. Pavel said Canelo loses a decision, so Canelo wins a decision. Golovkin wins a decision. Stu said Golovkin by decision. I said Canelo decision. BDA said Canelo decision. Precise Puncher said Golovkin by decision. Boxing Scorecard said Golovkin by decision. And Fight Fan Phil said Golovkin 10th round stoppage.
You forgot there's two people that I don't have on my list either. Trap Media and X. Well, actually, X, I do have X. You forgot to X said Triple G knocks the White Devil out. So he had that one wrong. All right, let's go to... Was that? All right, who's got the police in the back?
Yeah, I said I didn't make a prediction the other day. Remember, I was just saying I was going to watch it. I thought it was going to be a good fight, and I just wanted to enjoy the fight.
Well, listen, I wanna get to ElDude right away because we got a lot to cover here. ElDude, are you there?
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
All right, good. Now listen, we got a lot of ground to cover here. So, who did you have winning the fight, and what did you think of what happened last night?
Well, the reason I got Canelo winning this fight is because, first of all, there should not be any flip flopping when it comes to your criteria of judging a boxing fight. This is going. I'm not necessarily. I'm not pointing this to you. I'm just sorry about that. I should be more specific to the whole judging consensus. You know what I mean? Like people should, like myself, do not flip flop. If you wanted Canelo to stand ground and show the toe to toe, face to face against GGG, if that's what you expected, then that's what you gotta. In other words, when you judge a boxing fight, you either judge it because you favor the brawler or you favor the elusive fight, right? Now the whole I'm gonna put the whole composition of this fight, the way it was structured, we all demanded that it should have been a Mexican style fight. That was the narrative. Now the problem with the rematch is that we expected both to do a certain thing, and I said it before on the BDA show. I said GGG's most potential weapon is his jab, but his jab was his downfall because he's supposed to be the killer against a younger, a smarter guy coming up to his division. Right? It's the kid. It's like the kid trying to take the master's position away. You know what I mean? The student against the master. That's what it was. It's the champion against the contender. Canelo.
That's a good point.
Went in there, and my pops, he put something in my mind, and I'm gonna repeat what he said. He said it's the same GGG, no excuses. This is the same monster because if you look at his previous fight, he's coming off a devastating win, a devastating knockout, and he's been doing that to all the same type of opponents that he's been faced with. But when he faced an elite fighter like Canelo, right, he was not able to stop him in the first fight with the particular elusive style. And in the rematch, face to face, he was not able to do that against Canelo because Canelo showed was the better man. Now, just to finish my point real quick, Abel Sanchez, in my opinion, he did a good job, man. He kept on telling GGG, man, you got to fight in the pocket for one reason. Everybody's saying he's Mexican, he's favoritism. Yes, it is about being the Mexican style because that was the main point. And Abel Sanchez was saying, man, if this guy continues to be on his back foot, he's going to get ridiculed. Abel Sanchez was trying to hold him in. Hey, man, you got to hold this Mexican because it's more about this fight was not about who could jab better, who could punch each other. It was who could stand ground and knock each other's fucking head off. And I think Canelo, you have to give him the closer rounds because of that particular argument that was made going into the fight. And thank you for having us, brother.
Yeah, that's a good. So your contention is that since they spoke about it being Mexican style, he should have stood his ground as opposed to stepping back and jabbing Canelo or trying to outbox him.
Yes, it's kind of like the whole. If you're gonna fight a guy who is faster than you, like in other words, Malignaggi. If you don't have Chris Algieri versus Malignaggi, you don't expect a knockout in that fight. You're gonna expect an AK-47 going up against a Nuzi. Right, just a bunch of volume of punches, very exciting fight, but you're not going to see a knockout. You're just going to see a bunch of action. That's what you expect. So when you go judge that particular fight, you're not going to go judge it to see, who almost had the knockout. No, you're going to judge it based on the criteria of what you're calling it. And going into the fight, we were not seeing who's going to out jab who's going to because you could land 10 jabs versus 2 power punches. And the 2 power punches will always give you the face that GGG came out of. And I call it silly putty.
So you're saying this was a special rules boxing? In other words, since they said it had to be Mexican style, they were fighting under Mexican style rules and jabs and all that didn't count?
No. There's the 4 criteria of boxing. I mean, who's the aggressor, who landed better punches, who's the ring generalship, which is the main point, and who has the better defense. I believe, in my opinion, Canelo had the more significant punches, right? Just like in the first one. I believe Canelo was the aggressor. Most people could agree about that. The defensive, because of the face, coming out, and then just the visual throughout the rounds, the commentating, man, the guy's face swelling up, Canelo's looking clean, right? And the ring generalship is the most important part. Because it was a close round, I'm not saying it was not a close round, but because it was a close round, you have to say for yourself, okay, it's a close round, right? Who would you give this round to based on the ring generalship? Now, what is the ring generalship? Who's the more elusive, or who was the more aggressor? You see what I'm saying? And so you have to. The ring generalship is very tricky. The ring generalship is it's subjective and objective. You know what I mean? Because people have their own opinions, whether they favor the elusive fighter or they favor the brawler. But
All right,
because
now
the whole in and out of boxing, the whole criteria, everything coming into the critique of Canelo not standing ground and coming for, especially Team GG, they went racial. They went racial, right? You're not Mexican. You're not true Mexican. You're not true Mexican. Abel Sanchez saying he doesn't have balls, right? In other words, not only did he go racial, but he was insulting his manhood.
Yeah, but Abel
But Canelo
now.
never did that. Canelo never said you're not a true Russian
hold
because
on,
you're
Bucho,
fighting
Bucho,
Mexican style.
Bucho. I want to
It
get
was a
to
fight for Mexican style.
Bucho. I want to get to.
Yeah,
Don't
Abel on
forget.
ESPN Spanish admitted that he was trying to get into Canelo's head, which we all knew that was the case, even though
Right.
he was denying it the whole time. But now that the fight's over, he admitted, yeah, I wanted to get into Canelo's head.
You're
All
He
right.
right. Now
You're
wanted
let
right,
me.
King Bucho. You're right, King Bucho, because when you have your own team before, during, and after the calling of the decision, during the fight, Abel was saying we're losing the fight. When the scorecard was read, he said he deserves this fight. Right after the whole press conference, he keeps on admitting that Canelo deserves this win and that he expects the trilogy. So when you have your own corner saying, "Man, let's give the guy credit. He did what we asked him to do, and we did it." There's no argument. You have to give him those close rounds to Canelo because of the argument. Thank you.
All right. So there you have ElDude's theory, or I mean his argument. We're gonna get back to that if we have time, but I just want to get to everybody's opinion of the fight, so that's why we're going one person to one person. Let's go to Trap Media. Trap, are you there? And how did you?
Yo,
All right, so how did you score the fight, and how did you see the fight and the aftermath, and a bit of the backlash? Like, give us the overall gestalt of what you saw happen last night.
as far as scoring round to round, I still have to go back and watch it for a second time. I was enjoying the fight, but I want to say going into the fight, I was more against Canelo. I felt like he had favoritism in the Floyd fight when he got a card, and he was totally outclassed. That was ridiculous. I felt the first fight with Triple G, I leaned toward Triple G, and I felt it was unfair. And I think a lot of people with this decision, those things played a factor into what they're saying right now,
Hmm.
as in Triple G got robbed. But I mean, Canelo earned my respect this fight. I mean, he came in there. If we just looking at it from like, cause you had brought up a street fight level or something you had in school. If we looking at it from that aspect, he totally whooped him. If we looking at it just from a pure science of boxing, I mean, he was landing the sharper punches. He was turning his jabs. He was turning his body with his punches. I felt he was the faster fighter. I felt he was the more confident fighter. And I felt like he just landed the bigger shots. I want to say the 10th round was the only round I felt Triple G had some control, but overall, I just feel like there was no point when Canelo was hesitant or didn't feel he was in command outside of that 10th round. But he earned my respect, and I think it was fair for him to get the decision. I think because of the past things, that's why a lot of people are upset and they feel, if anything, just give it a draw. But I feel like he earned it, and he went out there and he beat up Triple G. And I feel like, just like if you was in a school environment when one kid is bigger than everybody else, and he's that tough guy, but then somebody steps up to him and really hits him and can take his punches, and then you see he's not that same guy. That's how I felt like watching Triple G last night. Like he was tense. He seen it was kind of like, dang, I can't hurt this guy. It's kind of like Canelo snatched his soul last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I take my hat off to Canelo, his team, and the right strategy. And I don't understand, where was the body shots? We see everybody was saying that after the first fight. Triple G needs to come with the body shots. He needs to come with the body shot. And we didn't see that all last night. He wasn't really turning all the way into his punches. It wasn't what I wanted to see. It was solid. I like that he stayed in the fight and he had that rally a little bit late. But overall, I just got to take my hat off to Canelo and his team. And Triple G, you got to know going. I don't want to see a trilogy. I can say that for sure. I don't want to see a trilogy because we know, even if it looks like the first fight, and I'm leaning towards Triple G, he's not. It will most likely be a draw again. And anything else outside of a knockout, I just don't see him getting a win. So it's just about time to move on from this. let's close this chapter. And I think we all need to give Canelo his respect at this point.
And I do agree. I think we all need to move on from this fight. I think we should all be thankful that it was a good fight, an entertaining one. And now we get to move on to bigger and better things. Literally bigger things, because we are going to have the, what's his name? Joshua versus Povetkin fight pretty soon. So that's a good one to watch out for. All right, let's go to Fight Fan Phil. Fight Fan, are you there? How did you have the fight? Give us your overall assessment of what happened last night, if you please would.
What's going on, everyone?
Well, just talking about the fight. Entertaining one, to say the least.
Let me see. I had the fight the night of. I thought Triple G edged it a little bit, but it was such a close fight. I knew on the Vegas curve, Canelo was going to get it. I knew. But then I watched it again this afternoon, and I thought G probably won 8-4, 7-5, or it was a draw. I could see a Canelo win, but I thought G did enough to get the win, because it was a little bit different than the first fight where, Canelo had just long stretches of inactivity. Triple G didn't get put on the ropes. He didn't get backed up. He had a little subtle defense where he was slipping shots, and he kept that jab pumping when Canelo kept his hands at home. So I thought that helped make the rounds a lot tighter than they were.
See, that's a good point. You brought up a good point. People say, well, Canelo was backing him up, but I didn't see him being backed up the way he backed Canelo up in the first fight. Like you said, he wasn't touching, his back wasn't touching the ropes. But then again, it's not just about who you back up or how much you back up. It's about effective punching. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, go on, BD. Well, I liked Canelo's aggression a lot. I really early on. I was favoring that a lot, and I thought he definitely took those early rounds. Now, as a fight, when I watched it again, I thought Triple G's jab really made the difference, because he stayed active with that jab. He was moving, he was circling a little bit, but it's not like he was getting out of range. He had to reset a lot, but he kept that jab pumping. He made sure that he was landing jabs at least. And he made Canelo miss a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a much closer fight than the first one by a lot. I mean, it was just a very close fight. And I give a lot of respect to Canelo, because I want to come on here and say it, because I thought he was going to get knocked out. I thought he was, full of PEDs and shit like that. But he came out, he fucking stood right in front of Triple G, and he backed Triple G up. And Triple G, I mean, it's not in his corner. It's on Triple G. And he's still a great fighter and all that, but even his trainer was like, I wanted him to fight in there. He needed to stand in there and fight, because this time he can't use the excuse, well, Canelo wasn't engaging with me. Now, was he engaging with Canelo? Absolutely. But he needed to stand in there, and he did in the late rounds, but he needed to really put his nose in there and land body shots and really try and push this guy back the way he did a little bit in the 11th round. He just didn't do it. So I don't think there's going to be too many cries of a pure robbery from casual fans, at least.
Right.
The way they were in the last fight. So if there is a trilogy, I'm favoring Canelo, because if it happens in December, Canelo wants to fight in December, if G's ready, let's just do it in December and get it out of the way. Let's end it. But if it's going to happen in May, fuck it, because he's going to be older.
So you're one of the people that wants to see it. You wouldn't mind seeing a third fight.
If it happens soon, I mean, I favor Canelo to win. I don't think Triple G has a shot after that night, because I mean, it was really, I think he was trained properly. He looked great. I mean, when was the last? I mean, Triple G was circling guys, but when was the last time we've ever seen him move on his toes like that? Have that type of energy even after taking the beating he took to the body, because he was exhausted, but he kept coming, and he stayed more active than he was in the first fight, despite the punishment. He looked physically good, but I'd like to see the fight happen in December, maybe. Because if they're just going to push it back to May or late September next year, I mean, I think Canelo's got it in the bag. The farther this fight gets kicked down the road, Canelo's going to be the favorite, because now he knows he can take it. He knows this guy isn't going to stand in front of him and fight. And I think Triple G is mentally shot a little bit. Not to say he's a bully, but just getting 2 shit scorecards again. And not to say that the scorecards were awful, but just kind of getting all the bullshit that's happened. I think his love of boxing has really just drained away. I don't think he's gonna want it as bad as he wanted it last night or last year.
Like Kovalev against Ward, basically.
I don't think he's gonna fold. I don't feel like he's gonna quit in there. When he gets in that ring, he's gonna give it his all. Not like and he lives clean. He fights hard, but you got to favor Canelo, because I mean, I don't know if it's just his age. He's 36 now, and he was in there with a very a pound for pound level opponent. But he just was not able to do the things he should have done, and he knew he should have done them, and he just was not able to. He threw a couple body shots, and when he hit Canelo with them, they they made a sound. They had a thud, but I just don't know why he didn't open up more.
All right, we'll continue exploring that subject a little bit more later on. But I want last person to get his thoughts in about the fight. We want to get to boxing styles. Boxing style, are you there? And how did you have the fight? What did you see last night? How did you think it went?
Yeah, I had a fight 7-5. I don't know where you guys seen 8-4.
Wait, 7-5 to who?
To Triple G.
To whom?
7-5 or a draw. You could. I would be cool if it was a draw. I would have been cool if it was 7-5 for Triple G. But Canelo, because it's Golden Boy Promotions, man. That's why I said when the decision was about to be made, I sent you a text, right? Watch a robbery. It's just gonna go to Canelo. It's so close. It's gonna go to Canelo. Even if it was 8-4, it could have still went to Canelo. You know what I mean? Like the chances of Triple G winning a decision against Canelo is slim to none. But I had Triple G winning the first round. That was a little iffy round. The first round, the second round, I gave it to Canelo. A third round, fourth round, I gave it to Triple G. Fifth round, I gave it to Canelo. Sixth round, I gave it to Triple G. 7, 8, 9, three rounds in a row, I gave that to Canelo. 7, 8, 9, he was doing his work. But 10, 11, and 12, that was all Triple G. He was outboxing him.
Yeah.
He was destroying him. He was just fucking him up. He got lucky that he didn't get knocked out in that 10th round. He got real lucky because that age factor kicked in that 10th round. I was like, if this was the old Triple G, he would just steamroll him. But
was
it didn't
the 9th
happen.
round?
It's like I was like trying to breathe in, trying to like take in more oxygen because I think he was gassed out somewhat. But one thing I didn't like about this fight is the step in. When Triple G walked in and when Canelo walked in, I know this is like conspiracy theories and shit, but like the way they walked in, Triple G looked like he was scared to get in the ring. Like he heard like some bad news. Like they told him something fucked up. Like I don't know what, but like it didn't seem like Canelo came out all happy and shit. Like this is like gonna be easy piece of cake fight, and he giggling and shit. Like he heard some good news from El Chapo or something like that. The guy, you know, this is El Chapo. He's,
come on.
Not El Chapo. What's his name? I'm saying El Chapo.
Yeah, El Chapo.
His trainer's name. What's his name?
Oh,
Aaron Rose.
That's this fucking crazy.
Yeah, I heard some like I saw some shit like that and I didn't like that. And then next thing you know, another thing I didn't like was the 12th round when they're going at it. I mean, that's your last round, bro. Like it's a close fight. You guys both know.
Fucking say Chapo.
I know I said El Chapo.
All right, listen.
I keep getting the fool's name wrong.
Now, which round?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Which round was it?
Last round, 12th round. I think they headbutted each other or something like that, and they're fist bumping. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here, man? Why you fist bumping? 12th round, everything. The marbles are on the line. Like, why are you guys fist bumping? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, you guys should be going all out, and then you guys could hug it out and say, oh, whatever. It just didn't feel right. Something didn't feel right in this fight. That's all it is.
All right, so you have. But hold on, I gotta ask something. Which round? Apology, I don't know if because you seem to have been keeping track of the rounds. Which round was it where Golovkin was winning the first half, and then Canelo came back to win the last half? Which one was that? The 9th?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah, I was
a bit tired.
Afterwards.
Ninth was I rewatched it. That's why I'm saying the rounds. I rewatched it just to be sure. Because
that did happen
when I initially watched it. Initially, when I watched it, I gave it a draw. But when I rewatched it again, I saw like the 12th and the 12th and the first round were kind of hard to decide who won actually. But the first one, because of the jabs that Triple G threw, I gave it to Triple G. And then the 12th round, it was kind of hard to detect who's hitting who until like you really look at you slow it down and shit. Oh, he hit him here and there and there. I just gave it based off the significant punches that Triple G threw, especially initially the 12th round when he threw that uppercut and then a couple of other shit that he followed through, and then a jab and then threw other right hands and shit like that. I gave it to Triple G.
I want to say something, right? And please, for the love of God, people let me finish. So boxing style, don't interrupt. I know what you're like.
Oh, come on. Just go ahead and say it.
So, I don't get what all this stuff's going on about people saying, you know, because Canelo's Mexican, he won the fight. It was a, look, I thought Golovkin won the first fight, and the fact that Canelo got a decision was a disgrace. I'll sit by that. I thought Golovkin won the first fight 8-4. And, you know, that was bullshit. That was politics. But this fight was a close fight, man. Like, this could have gone either way. So, look, I get why people, like I said earlier on, because Canelo has had the favoritism of the judges before, you know, the Mayweather scorecard, you know, the Cotto scorecard, you know, Lara, he got the gift against Lara. Or, you know, a lot of people thought he got gifted against Lara, thought he won that fight. And, you know, he's always had ridiculous scorecards. But the fact is, it was a close fight. Like, and I feel like, you know, the fact that he's had favoritism in scorecards before, it just shadows. And every time he gets a win where it's a close fight, people are going to cry robbery because it's what Canelo's known for. But for me, I thought this fight was nowhere near a robbery. And for the fact that people are sitting down and saying, you know, Canelo, because he's Mexican, it was a Mexican holiday. Let me finish, man. It's the fact that he won the fight. If you thought Golovkin won, great. But for me, I can't see how anybody can sit here and say it's bullshit when, in my opinion, you can argue a case for Canelo winning that fight.
All right, now hold on. I agree. We just hold on, because we have to have some order here. And Cameron, a lot of that, he's saying that it wasn't. That it was a close fight. Could have gone anywhere. Before we continue, one last person, we gotta get their opinion on the fight.
Wait a minute. This is for Cameron because he's trying.
Hold on. Boxing styles. Hold on. We gotta keep some order here because we got a full house.
Matrix.
Let's go. Yeah, let's get to recognize.
Don't get fooled when they tell you that the crime rate is down in New York. Every time I watch the local news, they're always talking about, well, there was a stabbing here, there was a stabbing there, there was a shooting there, but the crime is down.
All right, recognize. Let's get your thoughts because we gotta. People have a lot to say about this fight. Let's get your thoughts, but more importantly, I don't really care about your scorecard. I want to know who won the story of the fight.
See, that's a tough one right there, man. The story of the fight, it could go kind of both ways to me.
I was kidding. Recognize. I was talking about the.
He was quoting Max Kellerman.
Yeah, I was quoting Max Kellerman.
Yeah. I didn't watch the HBO broadcast. I got it online. I watched it online. So.
Okay, but
good for you, dude. Good for you.
On the radio.
Yeah, on the radio. Excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
All right. In all seriousness, how did you score the fight? How did you see it going?
Okay.
Like, what do you think happened?
Before I say how I scored the fight, the fight was excellent. I thought the fight was an excellent back and forth fight. It was two excellent skilled fighters showing what they're made of. I thought Golovkin won. I thought he edged it out. 7-5. I could see it a draw. But I thought Golovkin won the fight. I thought he landed the more meaningful punches, but he got beat up. His face proves that. He did get beat up. The punches that Canelo was landing were they were just I got a new respect for Canelo. I think he's I know this is crazy, and again, I still think Golovkin won the fight. I think he won. In terms when it comes to points, how you know the way I score a fight.
Right.
I think he won the fight. But Canelo to me proved that he's in his prime, he's in his peak, and he's going to be an all-time great. How many punches did Canelo get hit with by Golovkin that puts everybody else at least on their ass? And Canelo kept going forward. Even when he got hurt in the 10th and the 11th round, okay, I think a little bit in the 11th, mainly in the 10th round, he never stopped coming forward. He stood there, he stood his ground, which is smart, right? You don't want to back up when you're getting hurt, because when you back up, you tend to get hit with bigger shots. When you're doing that, he stood forward. I thought he did excellent work to the body. And you could see every time Golovkin would go back to his corner, he was breathing hard. I also think that he did some pretty good counter shots. He was almost doing exactly what Golovkin was doing. He was the aggressor, which was throughout the whole fight. I've never seen someone be the aggressor against Golovkin for that long of a fight. And, but with that being said, in terms of scoring the fight round by round, I thought Golovkin won. I thought his jab, once again, was the difference. He doesn't land regular jabs. He lands power jabs. It was a great fight. I don't like the decision for this reason. Yes, you judge every fight individually, but this was dictated by politics. That's what the fight was dictated from in the first fight, and it carried over to the second fight. I understand that some people feel that it could have went either way. Even me, certain rounds, certain swing rounds that I gave to Canelo, that I gave to Golovkin, could have went either way. It was that kind of fight for me. But let's face it, they were looking for the excuse. Canelo gave him that excuse because he's a great fighter, and they gave him the decision. They rewarded him for making it close and being so competitive, and that's boxing. I mean, I don't like the politics dictating outcome, but it is what it is, bro.
So you had.
If I could just add something real quick, brothers, just regarding to the judges, because we seem to be a little bit too hard on the judges nowadays. But we have to remember that the reason there's 3 judges is because the angle that they're in, not 4, because 4 would cause more draws. 3 would try to more like a drawbreaker. But each judge is only worth 33% of the final score. So it's not really that I'm not saying that there isn't any favoritism. It's just we have to also respect the fact that how they're sitting, there's a referee right in front of them, there's some ropes. They might be right at the bottom of the feet, from the fighters. They can't see those punches. So they can only judge what they're seeing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're relying on the other 2 judges to judge the fight fairly, because they don't have that particular angle. So at that particular angle, when they're blind, they can't score those points because they don't have the angle.
Yeah, I
want to put that out there.
That's a good point. That's a good point that people have been made. Well, hold on. I want to.
Hold on.
Because apology. Okay, first of all, that's a very good point from ElDude that people have talked about it before as well. Like there needs to be some sort of a change when it comes to the judges because they do have an obstructed view, and then on top of that, some of them might be biased. So they need to change something from that. By the way, because I think it was Boxing Style had sent. Now, Cameron said something, and I think Boxing Style wanted to reply, and Apology wanted to reply as well. So we'll go first with Boxing Style and then Apology Man. All right. So Boxing Style, do you still remember what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say what Cameron about talking about robbery and shit. Yeah, and remember I sent you that message. I said wait until you see that robbery, right? It's gonna happen. The reason why I call this a robbery is because the first fight was 8-4, and I guess most people would admit that 8-4, Gennady Golovkin won that shit. The second one is a close fight, and granted, he's an older guy too, and I don't know what the hell Canelo's been doing besides training, what kind of shit he's putting in his system, because what he was before and what he is now is a whole, like, it's night and day. It's like night and day, watching night and day. He couldn't even last, come on, man, let's be real. 5 rounds, and then you could last 9 rounds afterwards, taking the punishment you were taking. I'm being real. I'm being serious here. I don't know what he's on.
All right, before something. You know what? Before hold on. Before we go,
I'm not gonna take that. I'm not taking anything
guys,
away from
please.
Credit. I'm not gonna take credit for it.
Let me just say something here because we gotta establish the order.
Hold on. Let me mediate.
Apology. Well, just want to say thanks, Bucho. I just wanted to say now we're gonna have to allow Cameron to respond, and then Apology will come next because we do need to give Cameron a chance to respond to what was just said.
I'm gonna finish up and then I'll let Cameron speak.
Oh, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Make it quick,
yeah, I'm gonna make it quick. I had to say I don't know what the hell he was on, if he was on anything, because most likely they all are on something. But this guy, this guy, he did a phenomenal job. I'm not taking anything away from him. I was pretty amazed that he stood toe to toe with him. I was like, wow, good shit. I was like, I got more profound respect for Canelo. But the thing is, I still don't like the guy. His bitchy ass attitude for not stepping in the face offs and all that shit, all that stuff, bro. I despise that shit. I despise that shit, bro. I don't like it either.
All right, hold on.
Hold on. All right. Let's. Okay, Cameron, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I don't pick fights based off of. I don't pick the guy that off when I look at the criteria of judging the fight. I don't look at it because I hate the guy.
All right.
Look. The boxing. Look, I don't get what boxing style saying. Oh man, like, you sat there saying that you're not going to take anything away from Canada, but then you're making all these excuses. But what I'm saying is, people are in the chat, and not just in the chat, but people online, and Hakuna Matana, I think it's sorry bro if I got your name wrong, but he's in the chat saying people will claim it's a robbery because of the first fight, and this is what does my head in, because people are basically saying, Canelo didn't deserve the rematch because you got to give him the first fight, which is a load of bollocks because that was the first fight. Yeah, Golovkin should have got it, but that doesn't mean Canelo shouldn't have got the decision in this one. In my opinion, he won the fight. A lot of people thought he won this fight, and it was a close fight, and it could have gone either way, and Canelo got the nod. Fair enough. That's the way boxing goes. But the fact of the matter is, and let's be honest, and people use this stuff, and people say, he's a cheater and things like that. The fact of the matter is, leading up to this fight, he didn't test positive once. He hasn't had one dirty test. He got tested by USADA, so he got tested by VADA, and he hasn't tested positive. So people, to sit here and say you don't know what he's putting in his body, you can't say shit, man, because he hasn't tested positive at all. We don't know what's going to come back after this fight. You never know. But if he comes back clean, you can't say anything about Canelo Alvarez having anything in his body if he's not tested positive for anything for this fight. He's clean. He's clean. That's how I see it.
All right.
Okay, Cameron, you done? Can I speak or?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, bro.
Well,
hold
on. We had said that it was gonna be because now we did say apology wanted to because now it was Cameron says something and apology disagreed with him, so now we gotta let apology go and then we'll get. Because otherwise he's gonna go all night, so we'll get back to boxing style afterwards.
One more thing to Cameron, and that's
hold on, apology. Boxing style. We need to establish. We need to establish that apology was gonna go. So apology.
Because if you guys talk about something else, the subject is gonna change. It's gonna be something
all right. But let me ask apology this then. Apology is what you're saying related to what this is the ongoing discussion, or
it's Cameron's first comment earlier he made about people calling it a robbery or not. That's what the comment is about. That's my response.
All right. So what did you want to say about that then?
All right. First of all, I'm not mad that Cameron or anyone had Canelo winning. All right. If he had it because it was 7-5, so you can give some rounds to Canelo.
Right.
I'm mad because I know for a fact if Oscar was involved and this fight was on neutral ground, like Recognize pointing out it's all about politics. GGG would have won. Like you just know they would have given it to him. It was judged fairly, neutrally, whatever you want to call it, without Oscar. GGG would have got his hand raised. That's why I'm calling it a robbery. Not because Canelo didn't win, because he needed extra assistance, and it wasn't scored fairly.
All right. Hold on. Fight Fan Field just wants to say something. I think.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to Cameron about like the corruption. Now, Cameron, I agree that it could have been a 7-5 fight for Canelo. I'm not saying that. I just think that in terms of like fans like us that can kind of score it, I think that looking at the scorecards and things like that, I feel like it was kind of in again. I don't know. Like looking at those scorecards, it's like the one judge that had it a draw, he gave G the 12th. That's fine, but the other two gave Canelo the 12th, and that led to him winning. So even if they had given GGG the 12th, the whole card would have been a draw. Not a single judge was giving him the win, which I just find is like, maybe it is that previous bias. And I've been thinking about it. I mean, this fight was basically a reversal almost of the first one. Canelo was marching forward and Golovkin was boxing. And, Golovkin had the late rally in the last rounds, and that wasn't enough to sway the judges. And of course it was different judges, but that wasn't enough to sway them the way it did the last fight. So I think officially from like the commission, all that, I think that's where the problem comes from. Now, if you had a 7-5, I don't mind that. I'm sure you could convince me of that, but I just think it's fishy that, like people pointed out of 6 scorecards in 2 fights, G's been up on 1. I just find that weird. That's the point I find that's weird. I just want to say that really quick.
I agree with you, bro, but then there's also one more thing. There's also the fact that majority of the audience, now I'm not saying all the audience, majority of the audience, I mean, some of them have, judge critique skills. They could tell who's winning. Majority of them picked Triple G. That's the fact. Just like the first fight, but the first fight was more convincing. This one was a very close fight. It's actually the most closest fight that Triple G's ever had.
All right, let's let Cameron
one very quick comment. Abel Sanchez right when they were judging, right after the judging, he said the judges was fair. He said this was a fair judge fight. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, okay, so we got that. Hold on, guys. We got that established about we got that established. So we got Fight Fan Phil agreeing with Apology Man and Boxing Style. So, well, Boxing Style, we'll go to you, then we'll go to ElDude, and then we'll let somebody else talk, somebody new that's not involved in this trifecta here. So we'll go to Boxing Style, and then ElDude. So Boxing Style, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I think it would have been just better if they called it a draw. It would have been so much better. The next fight, if they do a third fight, common sense here, it's going to be much more interesting. But if you pick Canelo, now everybody's going to go like, okay, the next time around, chances are Canelo's going to win again. There's going to be a lot of money, more money involved. They called it another draw if they just did the right shit. But obviously, Abel Sanchez is not going to be a bitch about it. He's not going to say, oh, man, we won this fight. It was a close fight. But, you know, they gave it to the other side. They're going to say, yeah, it's good. He's going to say, yeah, it's a good thing. But Triple G knew that he won the fight by 1 round. It's a one. I know that's a bitchy thing. It's 1 round, but it is what it is. He won it. A robbery is still a robbery, whether it's by 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, bro. A robbery is still a robbery.
I don't think it's a robbery in terms of the fight, just the politics.
If it was a 6-6, if it was a tie, and because of some reason, like, okay, like he's the there's another thing. He's the champion. You have to beat the champion in order to take the shit away from him.
No, you don't.
Well,
that's
that's
no,
that's not a rule. That's not a rule. It's not written anywhere.
I know. Okay, it's not real. It's my opinion. That's my shit. You got to be.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Let's get to ElDude.
Let's
get to ElDude. Let's get to ElDude because we said it was going to be him and then somebody that hasn't spoken a lot yet. All right, so let's go to ElDude. ElDude, you wanted to add something?
Thank you, Bruce. All I want to say is that when a particular comment is made by saying that
your son's a fucking echo, man.
I didn't hear anything. Well, let him talk and maybe the echo goes away.
Sorry.
Don't worry. Go ahead, dude.
I heard an echo, but that's not for me.
Usually it goes away.
Oh.
Just keep talking and I don't hear it. If I don't hear it, that means if I don't hear it, that means people on YouTube don't hear it. So just keep going and it goes away. Yeah, just talk.
It's not
just
there,
talk.
man. Just talk.
All right, go ahead, dude. Is he here or did he drop off?
Oh, okay.
No, it.
No, I was just pausing because I heard you talking.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying when you make statements such as you despise this person, you hate this person, you know what I mean? Obviously, you're going to be biased towards a scorecard and say this particular fighter won and discredit the man who fought his heart out and did what he had to do to win a fight. You know what I mean? So
all right.
Now, if go ahead.
Well, now, now once you're done, we're gonna have to let Boxing Style reply. All right, so you go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
I think you should let Cameron talk because we've been piling on him.
I told you guys. I told you guys. I can hate a fighter. It does not make a god. I hate Broner.
We get your point.
It made no difference me picking Broner over Vargas. It made no difference.
It made a difference because you're discrediting.
Hold on. We need to let Cameron.
No, man. Let ElDude finish first, man.
ElDude, go.
Okay, just like a very quick paragraph. It does make a difference because you're discrediting a person by saying he's coming in dirty, making excuses, and even bringing in the mob with no absolute proof. You know what I mean? Those are just speculations. Those are just that's a comic book. When we look at the facts of reality, you're discrediting the man because of your hate.
All right.
Can I go ahead or no?
I got a question. I got a question for the panel. What do you guys want to see next? Like, do you want to see Triple G ride off in the win? Do you want to see him fight one of the young guys? Do you want to see him move up? And who should Canelo defend his title against next? Or should he give up the belts?
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on.
What do we do?
BDA wants to say something.
Well, Butcher, I'm gonna ask you. Do we keep going with what Boxing Style and Cameron and all that, or do we?
No, we have to end that conversation. Okay.
I can say one more thing if you want.
No, you can't.
I think it's gonna go. I think it's
gonna. We disagree. You guys disagree, so we're gonna leave it at that, or else we're gonna get stuck in this subject. Also, I just want to say that if somebody wants to drop off, because we have other people that want to come in and talk about their opinions on the fight. So if somebody wants to drop off,
I'll tell you what. Let me say a little bit, and then I'll drop off for a little bit.
All right, that sounds fair.
I have a little question regarding the question that was asked. So adding to the question, are the WBC rules going to be implemented on Canelo? He has to defend these his WBC title 2 times?
No.
And if he does, that means he has Charlo to worry about, which is going to be a great fight. And if he doesn't choose Charlo, it's Canelo ducking him. And I think Charlo is next because I heard De La Hoya say that they want Charlo. It's within their plans. But we also have to remember that we have David Lemieux, who is also, I believe, for the WBA, if I'm not mistaken. And who knows if the IBF is going to allow. Yeah, and then who knows if who's going to win between Danny Jacobs and Peter and that's his name, if I'm saying it correctly. And of course we have the other issue with Munguia. So if he's going to move up, because that's also another stellar fight. So I'm sorry, Billy Joe Saunders, and Andrade. That's the fight I meant to say. So there's still a lot of players in play, man. There's still a lot of players in play. But I think, and my question is, will Canelo be restricted towards Charlo? And would you guys be objecting to the fight, being that it's not a championship fight? I mean, not a unification fight. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Nope.
Well, listen.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Charlo. I'm okay with Charlo versus Canelo if that was to happen next.
The WBC mandatory. All right. So thank you, ElDude, for dropping off for a bit. So Jim is gonna join us.
Well, let me say.
Continue with the.
I want to say something about that, and then I'll let Apology, because Apology wanted to say something too. Now, guys, bear in mind we have a full house right now, hence why we also moved away from the previous subject, because otherwise we're going to be here all night, and we want to let everybody give their piece on what happened. But to answer ElDude's question, Canelo doesn't play by the WBC's rule. He's above that. He's the type of star that can fight with or without a belt. He doesn't care about the belts, and rightfully so. I would, guys, if he fights the best, who cares if there's a title on the line? You know what I mean? I mean, as long as and yes, I would love to see him in there against one of the Charlos or against Daniel Jacobs. But of course, realistically, who knows if he's even going to stay with HBO or if he's going to go to ESPN or if he's going to. I don't think he goes with the PBC, by the way. I don't think they can sustain the amount of times he wants to fight or the opponents he wants.
He would never sign with the PBC. He's good where he's at. He's getting all the money in the world that Al Heyman wouldn't be able to do for him.
Mm-hmm. And I think they view Charlo as too high risk right now, not high enough reward, because they were saying on Bernard Hopkins or De La Hoya, one of them was on the interview yesterday, and they were saying he hasn't built his name big enough to deserve a shot with Canelo. So I think at this point he is the WBC mandatory, but they'll find a way out of that one. I think if they do that, then they shouldn't go for a Lemieux fight out. If it's about the money at this point and a big enough name, go take the big name, whoever that is, whether that's Spence or that's the young guy Munguia at 54.
All right, let's go to. Well, hold on. I want to get to Apology.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's get to Apology. He wanted to say something a couple of minutes ago. Go ahead, Apology.
Yeah, real quick, I have to drop off. I need to wake up early, but to answer a few Trap Media's questions, you mentioned Munguia and L. Spence. Those two guys will get destroyed. They're bombs. But let me go to the first question. GG should retire. I think he should. He shouldn't fight any more young guys. They'll rob him. Unless it's on HBO, they'll rob him. If he goes up and fights Groves, I mean, Eddie Hearn tried to rob him in the Kell Brook fight. You see the scorecards. So GG should just retire, man.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's it for me. See you guys later.
All right, Apology. Thanks for being on. We really appreciate you coming on, and everybody for coming on as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And the reason why we're going person to person is because we have to keep some order tonight. Otherwise, it's going to deteriorate. Like I said, we'll go to recognize. But before, I just want to say one thing. Triple G, I think Apology makes an astute point. If he sticks in there against the young guys, he's not going to look. He can still knock out a bunch of people and still look like the old Triple G. But certain big young guys, I mean, there's only a few elite athletes through the history of sport and all that can keep up with the youngins. I'm talking Bernard Hopkins. I'm talking about that golfer Jack Nicklaus. In the porno industry, you have Rocco Siffredi, who can still hang in there with the youngins. So but it takes a lot, man. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, you gotta be. But you know something, BDA, I gotta disagree with you somewhat. First of all, I really mean this when I say this. I could be wrong, because it's just an opinion until it happens.
Okay.
I think the shots that Canelo was getting hit with by Triple G knocks out most middleweights. And I'm talking about I can't even see Charlo getting hit with those shots and standing. He
Whoa.
won't. He'll get dropped. I think that
That's to be
I
seen.
think that's to be seen. Exactly, but that's my opinion. He got a small chin. I would aim for that chin all day. I would just try
Matrix,
to.
may I ask you a
I would
question,
try.
brother?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm also agree with you, but I've been thinking, are we giving Canelo's chin too much credit, or was
What?
GGG?
What? No, 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 no,
You
no,
think
no,
so?
no. Canelo got a fucking chin. That's it. Point blank. He's got a chin. He got hit with way too many shots for me to say otherwise. You
Recognize.
can't. You can't. You can't get hit with blind shots, shots that you didn't see coming, and still stand unless you are built like a beast. He's a beast. That's what he
Not
is.
only does he have his chin, he also he has his skin too in the process. I
Right,
mean,
he's got that
durable
thick.
motherfucking skin.
He's like even though he's a white, like he has white skin, he got that glow. He has that glow to him that tells you he's got good skin. It doesn't break easy. It doesn't
But
scar.
how much can we attribute that to his defense towards him running with the punches?
Yeah, because
You know
it's
something? His defense was bad. It was his defense is very good. I think that his defense wasn't as good as the first fight. But then again, what he did was he used offense for defense in the fight. I think, and when it comes to scoring, the fight, that's why I edged it a little bit for Golovkin. I just edged it a little bit because I think that he was getting hit with shots that he didn't need to get hit by because he was determined. Even when he got hurt in the 10th round and the 11th round, when it suited him to back up, he only backed up when he had no choice. That was it. But then you saw what happened. He kept
All right,
going
hold
forward.
on. Yeah, we just. All right, after Recognize is done, if he's done, we'll go to Trap Media and then we'll go to Boxing Style. So, Recognize.
Just one more thing. I'm just gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
look, I think Canelo. What Canelo's plan is this, man. Canelo is going to maximize the most money he can. That's what he's going to do. It doesn't matter what we like. It's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to maximizing the most money. I could see a David Lemieux, Cinco de Mayo, right? If the Triple G fight is after the numbers show up, and depending on how people feel about it, and there could be a third fight next year, this date next year, with Triple G, whether we like it or not. Look, Charlo, I do view Charlo as a high risk, low reward. Who I think will win? I think Canelo beats Charlo. Spence, that fight's not there yet. And the Spence people have big plans for him as well. They'll wait for later on. As of right now, look, no disrespect to Spence fans. Canelo is not the guy you play with. He will hurt. Spence needs a little bit more time where he'll have the best chance to beating Canelo, and the fight is worth more money. You got to build his status, and that's what they're doing. That's the plan. I think they're going to do. This is just me thinking. What's the next possible move? I could see a David Lemieux fight, maybe Mongia, Cinco de Mayo, and then if the Triple G fight is still lucrative enough, right? Then they make that fight happen. Or who knows? Floyd Mayweather's talking about fighting Manny Pacquiao. You never know. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. Floyd Mayweather beats Manny Pacquiao and the rematch. They throw, Oscar De La Hoya will throw him another $100 million payday so that Canelo could chase fucking Floyd Mayweather till he actually runs out the ring and have him win. And he's got Floyd Mayweather under his belt. You know what I'm saying? So there's a plan there, but that's what I think is going to happen next. I could be wrong, but that's what I see as that what makes sense to me.
All right, so let's go to Trap Media then and see if he has any objections to what Recognize just said.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, this is a brutal sport. So of course you're gonna go take the big money fight. That's what you put in the work for. As far as Charlo getting knocked out, that's to be seen. Just like until We seen Floyd take that big shot from Mosley. We had to see it to see how he reacts to it. You know, same with Charlo. I'm not saying he can't take it, but I have to see him take the big shot to know. And that's one question. You know, I'm a supporter of Spence, but I have to see, can he take that big shot as well? But I wouldn't be mad with it being some time away for the Canelo fight. I definitely think he presents different problems than Triple G because he invests in the body early on. And we know historically Canelo has had a stamina issue, so investing in the body early on could play a part down the line in the fight if it goes to distance. I think Canelo he stuck to the fundamentals. He kept his chin tucked. I felt most of the big shots with the hooks from Triple G caught him on the top of the head or the temple, but he wasn't really getting caught flush on the chin because he kept his chin tucked, kept his hands up for the most part. So yeah, I was impressed by Canelo. I got respect for him, and whatever he wants to do next, I'm sure it'll be a big business move, and I have no problem with that.
All right, so there you go. We let's go to not apology, boxing style, and then we'll get somebody in to comment as well. Boxing style, you want to say something?
Yeah, about Spence moving up to fight Canelo, I think Matrix is right. He should take his time. But whether he can take a shot, for now, all I know is he can't take shots from Kell Brook that well. He wasn't handling those shots that well. He was like getting rocked with hooks and shit from Kell Brook. If he's getting rocked by Kell Brook, he's gonna get hurt by Canelo.
Did he get dropped
For now. And then he's 147 though. I'm not taking anything from his win. He won. I'm talking about 147. If he moves up to 155, he slowly gets up there to 160. I could see him having a real toss up with Canelo. It's possible, but he has to have more tools to his game. Canelo has a lot more tools to this game than Spence does, man. I'm being realistic here.
I think right now
he has to have more.
I think right now he has more. He has more skills. Give Spence 2 years without injury, with progress.
Yeah.
About. Give him 2 years without injury and him getting better as a boxer. That's a better fight. That's a better.
Right. Please mute your mics if you're not gonna be speaking.
My
please.
bad.
No, that's okay. Well, just wanted to ask, either Cameron or
gonna say something else too, but
no, hold on, because we need to let other people talk as well, and then we'll have Jimmy on the line.
Yeah, we got Jimmy as well, so we gotta get.
What's up? Oops, sorry, brother.
Well, I'll get to hold on, because we got a full house right now. I want to get to Cameron or Fight Fan Phil, who haven't spoken in a while. Which you guys have anything to add about this Canelo's future, or Cameron or Fight Fan Phil?
For me, I don't want to see him fight Spence. I think that Spence fight needs to happen down the line, and I don't know. I think he's just going to fight money fights again. I think he's going to go back to the way he used to fight, because now that he's basically taken out the top, I don't think they want to fight Golovkin for a third fight unless they get like crazy high demands from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's gonna just fight money fights, which as long as they're against the top guys, they're good for him. But we know Canelo. I'm sure there's going to be all types of crazy demands and stuff. Because again, you're not winning if it goes to scorecards. You better be ready to knock that fucking boy out. I don't think anybody can do that. He got his head. I disagree with Trap. He got his fucking head snapped around by those fucking uppercuts from Golovkin, and he still took it. Now, did he get hurt? I think Golovkin knocked him the fuck out on the feet in the 10th round. I thought he knocked him out for about 2 seconds on the feet, and he recovered and fucking came back. So he does have a chin on him. He's a tough
boy
dude.
Is a bull.
Exactly,
he's
brother.
a tough dude. That's why I got so much respect for him after that fight, because he's a tough motherfucker. Because man,
the uppercuts was nice. I was just saying he didn't get caught with that GGG hook on the chin.
Oh no, I hear that hook. He did not get caught with those uppercuts. I think that was even the worst shot, because his fucking head got just snapped around like he was on a fucking, like it was one of those ball and string fucking toys as a kid. I mean, it was scary. I thought he was going out.
Trap, he got connected with those shots, but the thing is, I think Triple G has realized those hooks to have like little to no effect on Canelo's fucking head. It's more the uppercuts that have an effect to the temple specifically. He did that shit so many times in this fight. It was ridiculous. He landed like a bunch of temple shots straight up on the fucking temple. Like it's like he acts like it's gonna be a hook, but at the same time, it's an uppercut. It's not a hook. It's an uppercut straight to the temple, and he landed that shit. I don't know, man, like at least 20 times in the fight, where he just like made Canelo like wobble and shit. Not really wobble until the 10th round, but he got him. Like he hurt him.
If Canelo would have listened to his corner a little bit more in the later rounds, I think I would have probably scored it for him the other way around, 7 rounds to 5, because I think that there were shots that he was taking because he can take a shot. That's the thing. It's hard to tell a man who knows he knows he can eat your shots, or eat any man's shot. Is that, don't get hit as much. Just box a little bit here and there. There's no need to keep getting hit. I think Canelo could have pulled it off. Like, fine. If you think he won, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But in talking about in my scoring, the way I was scoring the fight, I think I would have had no problem giving him the fight had he just not taken certain shots that he didn't need to, which I think caused him to get hurt just a little bit in the 10th round and a little bit in the 11th.
All right, that's interesting. Now,
but Fight was saying he think Canelo is going to take the biggest money fight. But what is the biggest money? If it's not Spence, if it's not Mengia, who does he fight up there that's not
Billy Joe Saunders?
Billy Joe, yeah, Billy Joe. Okay, that makes sense.
And Triple G, because you got to look at it. I know most people don't want to see it again, but the fact is, the bottom line is what matters, right? When they look at the numbers, and if they see that fans are calling for it, they're gonna make that fight again, and it makes sense for them because you got Triple G a year older, and they already know that they can take his punches. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense for them to take that fight again, financially and also technically in the ring. Also, like I said, man, I know it sounds crazy, but Mayweather might come back. If he beats Mayweather, Mayweather, you hear me? Mayweather beats Mayweather. If Mayweather beats Pacquiao, right, by hook or crook, whatever the deal is, don't be surprised. De La Hoya goes in there and says, I'll give you whatever you want. I'll give you all the money in the world except one thing. No catch weights. No catch weights at all. You get in there with Canelo, okay? And Canelo will spark Floyd up if he fights him the way he fights McGregor, or he's going to run him out the ring because Floyd is old at this point and cannot fuck with that Canelo. You know what I'm saying? That Canelo is a different ballgame.
Well, now let me add something here. Hold on, because we got a lot to cover here, and Jimmy stepped on the line. By the way, I don't want to diverge too much, but I do have some questions for Jimmy based on what he spoke about on not the last episode, but before the last one. So before we get to Jimmy.
I had a bad trip at a wedding in Maine, and it was a stormy night, right? I'm on LSD. Oh, I was fucking freaking out. It was horrible. I'll never take it again.
All right,
that
Jimmy.
Makes me sound so classy.
All right, Jimmy. Jimmy, before we get to your thoughts on the fight, all right, I gotta ask you, because you were one of the main people who was talking about this a couple of episodes ago. Max Kellerman, with his whole story of the fight comments. I don't know if you were watching the HBO broadcast, but is this a strong?
It was insufferable. It was. Yeah. I tweeted about it during the fight. That was. Listen, it was so bad. I reached out to people, right? DM'd a few people and whatnot, and this is the rumor. Triple G was so furious. Lawful Triple G was so pissed about how the handling of the Superfly kind of fell apart, right? Mm-hmm. That was a lot because the money, what was being offered. There's a lot of shit, obviously, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They were pissed that they were told, remember we're not showing that fight. They were kind of forcing him to fight Monterosian or whatever. They were trying to set limits to what he could do. And his overall handling, I've heard. So, of course, you got the slick fucking UK dude stepping in, throwing big money at Triple G. Rumor, again, unsubstantiated, that by just the mood in the room, the way they were offered, are you going to re-up? And Triple G or Tom didn't approach HBO and say, listen, well, we're going to resign, or we're going to sign up. So the fact that it was almost like they think he's walking out the door. And that was 100% Kellerman kicking his ass out the door. That was so fucking obvious. At one point, when Triple G landed 5 fucking nose-shattering jabs in a row, Kellerman credited Canelo. It was insane. It was, that was because he worked him around. This is strategic. It was so, it was so, the narrative they were pounding. That way, whatever the score is. And listen, I agree, robbery, I hate that term because it defames and takes away from people who actually get robbed, right? No matter what we call it, it doesn't make Triple G feel any better because I did have him winning 115, 113, and 7-5. But so that was the reason because it was so fucking clear to see Twitter go ablaze. Listen, Twitter's like kind of a cesspool, but if you read the gist of it, you kind of get the flow of what's going on. And the fact that he was being tweeted about as much as the fight tells you what right there. So yes, it was fucking disgusting his behavior last night. It was so obvious.
Well, that makes sense.
Real quick too about the fight. Listen, Canelo. Always like that kid can take a fucking blitz. But I'll tell you right now, I've watched the fight 3 times, the last 2 muted. But in the 10th round, at the minute 32 mark, he was rocked. And I don't know who that was just on the phone. I mean, on the panel there, but he was 100% right. His eyes were glossed over. He was actually punched where Triple G wasn't even there anymore. In fact, when he walked to his corner, right, he stumbled a little, and his buddy sat him around, his boy, and the first thing his boy said to him, "Are you all right? You all right?" And Canelo couldn't fucking focus right away. Kind of blinked. Goes, "Yeah." So he was rocked. But the fact that he didn't go down, it just shows me like, wow, hot, great conditioning, and can take a shot. Because Triple G, he was definitely goofy on his feet. Also,
Jimmy, let me ask you a question. Do you
yes.
Do you think Canelo hurt GGG early in the fight? That's why.
No, I don't think
I'm
he hurt
talking
him
to
at
the
all.
body. I'm talking to
No.
the body.
To the body, yes, a couple of those body shots, but he was the first 4 rounds. If you look at because again, I watched it 3 times, right, real slow, and I was pausing it. Those body shots were awful low. A few of them were right on the fucking nutsack. So there was some bad blood there. But listen, let me tell you my theory real quick, like just 30 seconds on that. I've been really reading real hard because this whole high elevation training, right? This started getting adopted back when I was born in the 60s. And like most things in boxing, everything's archaic and takes a while for progress to catch up. And I started reading about a lot of things, starting with the Colorado hockey team. They play up at Mile High Stadium. And they started doing obviously all kinds of tests. And, Harvard's done some. I've been reading up, and there is a shit ton of side effects, nasty side effects. And here's the problem with it. You can take up to a year to get to optimal where it's actually working for you, where it gets your blood cells nice and big to carry the oxygen cells. But the problem is because of pressure and barometric pressure, the weather outside affects it. It can put pressure on you, and you can lose all your gains within a week on the earliest, up to usually 3 to 4 weeks. So if he already left camp, he broke camp 10 days before, I believe, and they went out to Vegas, whenever. So the thing is, people, I don't want to go into all the side effects, but there's nasty side effects. And the way he was breathing before one liver shot caught him, before one solar plex shot caught him, he was breathing weird. Like he was sucking. It's almost like you can get that first nerves because I've had it myself. I've never been in great shape, but I'm like, why am I, fucking feeling winded in the first 10 seconds of the fight? It's your nerves. So
that's what I was asking.
He was breathing
I think you caught him.
But I think that side effects. I just think that I think somewhere down the line they're gonna find out that was detrimental. And I think coming down and training at such a different to going below sea level. I just don't like it, and I think people. I know Victor Conti, who I don't usually agree with on a lot of shit. He's a wicked proponent against it too.
Hey Jimmy,
yes.
what would you attribute GGG spitting so much spit early in the
hold
fight?
on.
Again,
like
lungs.
dig in.
Lungs. That sweaty lungs is a part of the fucking. There's an actual sickness that goes along with. Like it's almost almost like bends. Your body gets like oxygen. No, see, I don't want to give the wrong information. I'm trying to just dumb it down and say it quick. But you get sweaty lungs, you get blood, you throw up blood, you wake up. People who on the hockey team, where they were traded there, the first 6 months, they're waking up with blood on their pillow, bleeding from the ears, and the doctors attribute it to altitude. So this is an issue. You know what I mean? They call it in that movie, like the higher you go, you're dying when you're climbing Mount Everest. It's just you got to get up there and get down because you're literally dying once you hit a certain height. So there's a sickness involved. I personally think if I was him, fuck it. I would take the next fight and train in Vegas. Say, let's move down. If you want to do it, Abel, down a sea level, let's give it a shot because he was breathing funky. That's all my opinion. He was breathing funky off the rip. But I think he won. A robbery is a stupid term. But again, that doesn't make him feel any better. But also, listen, this is my theory real quick. I've been saying it since the Jacobs fight. I was like, shit, I was hoping that wasn't the case. Same thing with Klitschko. Same thing what we just saw against the big cruiserweight he couldn't get set. Once he was out of position, I attribute it to like a airplane coming down on an aircraft carrier, and if everything isn't perfect, they have to swing around and come back. Like that Russian style where if everything isn't perfect, they have to start. And I think that's so ingrained into Triple G. If it's not at a certain distance and everything, like it's just that Soviet old Eastern Bloc style that he doesn't like. Obviously, the one who was really buzzed was Canelo last night in the 10th. So that tells me, why didn't he pull a fucking Hagler Mongamba? Just get in the middle and say, fuck it, let's throw toe to toe, right? I just don't think he had it. He's just not in his mindset. And that's why Abel kept saying, come on, son, you're losing this. Like, I want to see more out of you. So I think obviously Sanchez sees it too. It's that part of that Soviet system that was in him for 365 fights, I believe. So that's a hard thing to break. And I think it's been exposed up at the upper echelon and against somebody as tough as Canelo. But I don't want to take anything away from that fucking kid. He surprised me. He surprised me with the way he came forward, and he surprised me with the shot he took in the 10th.
All right, now,
there's nobody who's going to knock that fucking dude out at 160.
But it's interesting. It's interesting because you mentioned somebody. Hold on. Just real quick, because it's interesting. I don't know if it was Jimmy before, or I think it was Pavel. Somebody else had mentioned that too, about how training in Big Bear, high altitude, it's good, but you can't keep doing it over and over, especially when you're older, because at some point you don't even get the benefits anymore, and it actually develops slow muscle fibers. I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Pavel, but it was Pavel.
Mickey Ward first told me himself he did it. His last few fights against the Toro and whatnot, I think the last two he trained at Big Bear because he left his job after the first fight. And but he didn't like it. He said, nah, man, I didn't like it. I felt better. I just because I felt you like it at first. Like once you get acclimated, in your first day or two, you come down. Like if you could come off the mountain and fight that night, you're going to be killer. But you're not eating right, you're not sleeping right, everything's changed. There's a lot of side effects. And so the more I've been reading about it, I just think that was an issue. I think he was sucking wind and not breathing right from the get-go. But not to take anything away from Canelo, that kid, but I don't think nobody's going to stop him at 160.
My question was that we know in the first fight, GGG was being critiqued that he didn't go enough to the body. As a matter of fact, it was only 8 body punches. In the second fight, GGG didn't go to the body.
Again, Canelo, because I think Canelo trained for it. I think he knows not to be in a certain position. Again, it's all a part of that Russian. They all have that same kind of a.
My question was the first fight. Obviously, Canelo was on the move. The second fight, Canelo was right there. Do you think? My question is, could it have been because maybe his lungs were hurting, either because they were broken, bruised, or high altitude, bad training? Could have been that's why he didn't want to unleash too much body because he might have been hurting. Maybe I don't know.
Again, it's
obviously because it was obviously that he was breathing weird. I thought it was because he was hurt. Yeah.
But if you go back and watch it, dude, he starts breathing like almost by the first round. I'm like, okay, I attributed the first round to nerves. I'm like, okay, he hasn't got his what they call the second wind yet, right? But he just never seemed to get his breathing right. He was just constantly breathing weird. So again, I don't know if that's the case, but I just don't think. I think he has to be. Everything's a system with him. It's head, body. Everything's a certain way, and then when he gets to that, then he throws his body shots. I just. But I'll tell you right now, man. Canelo's a hard guy to hit the body too. His defense is so underrated, man. For his thickness to move at the hips the way he does, he doesn't have the fastest feet, but from his waist up, he's very elusive. Very impressed. Hats off to him.
I attributed that breathing to his age, but
listen, that's my theory on this, right? Too, because I've already gone through all the years too. Yeah. Your first thing to usually go historically, not to say everything is set in stone. The first thing to usually go in age is your reflexes, right? I thought reflexes were as good last night, if not better. I thought he slipped a lot of punches last night that, if would have caught, could have really did some damage. So it's usually first is your reflexes. The second is your legs. And your third is your power. Luckily, power is usually the last to go. So I thought his reflexes were fine. I thought his legs were fine. He even had some bounce in his step, right? In the last few rounds, he was still snapping his. So I'm thinking the old age kind of thing is creeping, is a little more, that's not as much as I think. Because, listen, if he turned pro like the Mexicans who turned pro at like fucking 10, right? They've had 30 fights by the time they're 18, war after war. that attributes, I think your body can only take so much. If you look back at his pro career, most of it's been one-sided beatdowns. He hasn't taken much punishment. So that taken into consideration his lifestyle. I mean, Mickey Ward was older than Gennady is now before he started the trilogy. Well, working full time, getting shit faced every weekend. You know what I'm saying? Where Triple G lives a Spartan lifestyle, true athlete. So I'm saying I just think I think it's more to do with Canelo, more to do with his ingrained Soviet thick-headed style. He just can't break from it, even though Abel tried to push it on him. But yeah, no, Canelo's got a great fucking chin. Anybody else takes that shot in the 10th round, they're done. I don't think there's a middle way to take that punch.
All right, Precise, welcome to the show and give us your take on the fight.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, brother?
Hey, hey. I thought the fight was a great fight, much better than the first one.
What's up, brother?
I had it, hey, hey. I had it a draw personally. Robbery is too strong of a word for me. I know people were throwing that stuff around, and I think unless you could find a round that was obviously triple G's, and at least one of the judges gave it to Canelo, you don't really have a claim of a robbery. I mean, I know why people are saying it because we knew that if it was going to be a razor close fight, obviously Canelo was going to get it and they were going to make it look a lot more believable this time. So I could kind of understand what people are saying, but for me, no robbery. Canelo did his thing, man. He was impressive. But I think what a lot of you guys are forgetting is that he waited Triple G out. He delayed VADA testing, and he had stacked wraps in the fight. So like you have to take all of that into consideration and you got to keep it real. I mean, we saw what was happening to Triple G's face. And you want to say Canelo hits harder than Triple G? I wouldn't say so. I don't think he gives up too much to Triple G in punch power, but I think the record speaks for itself. Them raps were just busting Triple G up. It is what it is. I'm not saying that stuff was necessarily illegal because I wasn't there. I don't know the rules exactly, but uh, Canelo had it all his way. He waited Triple G out, and Triple G looked old, man. Like, if you guys really been watching the guy, and I mean like rewatching his fights and looking at him, look at that Lemieux fight and how he was on his toes the entire fight and how flat-footed he was last night. But I thought both guys did really, really well, and I don't think Triple G's getting enough credit. I haven't listened to the entire podcast, so I can't speak about you guys. But from what I heard out there, I don't think Triple G is getting enough credit for, hanging in there with this young buck and coming back so hard late in the fight after taking all those disgusting body shots. I mean, I was very impressed by both guys, and I give Canelo props, man. But at the same time, you got to put the shit in context. You know what I mean?
Precise, you're probably the best guy. You're probably the best guy to ask this question. Jimmy brought up a great point about altitude. You yourself have altitude experience training because you work out there. You do labor. We seen your videos and we thank you for that for the information. Do you think it's taking a toll on GG, or how do you feel personally when you come back down to normal elevation? Do you see an effect on your body?
Yeah, I'm like Superman, bro. When I go down to sea level, I got boundless energy. Like I feel like Superman. But, I don't put myself through the type of rigorous training that Triple G does. You know what I mean?
But
And
you think it just it takes a toll on you? That's what Jimmy was trying to bring it up.
it. I really don't have an opinion on that. Victor Conte is an expert on this stuff, and I'd have to trust his word. More than that, though, it's just it's the 300 amateur fights. It's the hard. I mean, the guy trains hard. You know what I mean? And it's even if maybe he didn't take that much damage in some of his fights, in some of his fights he did. I mean, Danny Jacobs put him in the hospital. Let's not kid ourselves. Like hurt him enough, right? The Murray fight, even though he dominated, that was not an easy fight. He's taken his licks a little bit, and just the hard training that he puts himself through, that's all gonna take its toll.
Who did you have
You
winning,
know what I mean?
Precise?
I had it a draw. I
You had
mean,
a draw, okay.
yeah, like I just felt like this guy would win the round, then the other dude would win the round, then I had an even round. It was so difficult to score. I mean, Canelo took most of the early rounds and Triple G took most of the late rounds, and I thought he came back enough to tie it up. You know, I've seen a lot of people say Triple G won. I can't argue with that. Canelo winning, I can't argue with that either. One round away. I mean, it was really that kind of fight.
The thing is, hello?
Hear you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
No.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, Precise got it. Like, I did not suspect that shit. David Lemieux was on his tippy toes. I totally forgot about that shit. He was not on his tippy toes at all. That's pretty good. I call this fool Precise for some reason. Jesus,
Well,
I
I
didn't see
mean,
that.
That was an excellent
you watched
performance. I was.
That's
yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I take I give Canelo credit, but that's another thing. Like he did wait Golovkin out until he was 30, 35. I mean, do you guys really think that the Golovkin from the David Lemieux fight would have looked like that against Canelo? Like if you took the Golovkin from the David Lemieux fight against the Canelo who fought last night, he fucking jabs him to death. Like
Well,
Golovkin's jab just doesn't have that same snap.
if you listen to Canelo himself and his corner, he keeps saying something which is very important. We keep learning, which means they keep adapting, which makes him very different and very dangerous.
Yeah, but you can't deny the fact that Golovkin was getting old, and the lawyer for the longest time delayed the fucking fight. He kept saying, "Ah, we're gonna do it when at the right moment, at the right moment." And
That's
what's the right
boxing.
moment? Like 2 years later? Come
Right
on.
after
That's
he stopped
boxing.
knocking out people.
That's
Who did you
boxing
have win at
101.
Bucho?
I had it 115, 113 Canelo.
Really? Okay.
Well, you know
Jeez, am
what?
I the
I
only one
had
who had Triple G winning? I
I
had
had
him
Triple
winning,
G
yeah,
winning
but
too.
okay. All right.
I had him 115, 113 the other way.
Same here.
I had triple. I
Just the
had
fact,
Triple
like you
G
said, like
winning.
Precise said, to come back on his toes, he looked like to have the spring in his legs and to come back was impressive.
But if you guys remember, you know, Triple G would get off a combination or a jab, and then he would spin up to his left, and Canelo after that, like at least 20 times, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but he would try to get off a 1, 2, 3 after that, and he missed every single punch every single time. Triple G just didn't have enough lateral movement like he did in Lemieux fight, and he just stood in front of him a little bit too much. But I was happy to
You're breaking
see
up a little bit.
him
You're breaking up
actually.
there. You're breaking up,
Yeah, shit
Precise.
happens. Is this better?
No,
Nope.
you're still breaking up, man.
Okay, go ahead, guys. I'll come back in a second.
All
All
right.
right,
Can I say something about Triple G's footwork?
go ahead.
So yeah, I agree. I mean, in his later fights, he showed that kind of he's more flat-footed and everything. Even in this fight, in the first two-thirds of the fight, he was kind of flat-footed, and he was just usually he was doing something that he kept on doing usually in in this last couple of years. Um, Controlling the distance, staying outside and stepping in with the jab. So for the two-thirds of the fight, he was just going forward, backward, forward, backward. But in the third part of the fight, he really surprised me with his footwork. I mean, even in the first two-thirds of the fight, he had some great movements. Something I haven't seen him doing a long time, if ever. I mean, the lateral movement from him was impressive, especially for this stage of his career. And he was, if you remember. I don't remember if I was talking a couple of days ago to Bucho or BDA. I was saying that I thought the key to Canelo's victory would be to, instead of running around the ring, to pivot around Triple G. Well, I saw Triple G was being the one doing it, and I was really surprised because I haven't seen doing it for at least couple of years, and he it's like he got the second wind, you know. I was really impressive. He was very live on his feet, especially from the ninth round on. I really liked what I saw from him, and he showed some to me unexpected elusiveness at this point of his career. And of course, beside that, I mean, his right uppercut was great. But yeah, what do you think about his footwork there? Because some movements really surprised me and impressed me. He evaded some shots. He looked at some moments he looked pretty slick, especially when he got in the rhythm, as I said in the last third of the fight. So
Well, it's
go on.
interesting. It's interesting you mentioned the footwork because he showed good footwork when he fought Lemieux and when he fought Daniel Jacobs, because there were points in that Jacobs fight where Jacobs was trying to come forward and trying to really smack him with some big shots, and Triple G was able to twist around him, circle around him, I should say. But I don't think that footwork was enough to win the story of the fight, if you know what I mean. I mean, geez, fucking Max Kellerman. I gotta say something. I gotta say something about Max Kellerman. Back when he wasn't as biased as he is now, he used to make a good point, which was, at the end of a round or at the end of a fight, who would you rather be? And if the answer was I'd rather be fighter A, then that means fighter A probably won the fight based on the fact that he did more damage. Well, I got asked a question. After Canelo Triple G2, who would you rather have been? Who did you think is hurting more now? Who did you think took more damage? And who did you think landed the more significant punches? So, I mean, who wants to answer that one? Anybody, whoever wants to jump in first. Fight fan. Go ahead. Fight fan.
Going first?
Fight fan.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of facial damage, you got to think, yeah, you don't want to be Golovkin, but you can't see what happened on the inside. I mean, like I said, like Jimmy said too, that fucking right hand, that shut Canelo's lights off on his fucking feet. I mean, he got fucking shut down. I mean, he was gonna throw a left hook too after he pumped out a jab. Like there's a gif of it floating around on Twitter. His whole left arm goes completely fucking slack and straight, and just rolls over to Triple G's shoulder. So I don't know. I mean, in terms of do I want to be the guy who had a bruise on his face, or do I want to be the guy who got his fucking skull smashed against the inside of his brain smashed to the inside of his skull? I mean, you can have good skippers.
I agree with that fan.
I got one question though for this thing, like the face.
I think Jimmy was gonna say something real quick.
I'm asking Jimmy. I'm asking Jimmy for this because I think he has more expertise on this than anyone else probably. What do you think of steroids affecting like skin? Because Lara really fucked up Canelo's face. Like
the only thing steroids will do to your skin, it will give you zits. It doesn't make it any.
Yeah, I know
it'll
that.
affect your hair, but it'll just give you zits. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't cause it to get thinner or anything to rip. And a key thing about that faces too. Now you got to take Mickey Ward for instance, and take myself. Like I cut. I don't cut easy, but I bruise around my eyes pretty easy. Whereas Mickey, dude, like you could fucking crack that kid with a Louisville slugger across his face. Like when he had his eye broken, he had his eye socket broken against the Toro Gotti. He had 4 teeth punched 1/4 of an inch into his gum line. He swallowed 2 pints of blood. His nose was broken in 2 places. And I think he had a fractured rib and a ruptured eardrum. And he's still fucking, and at the end of the fight, it looked like he had a little swollen around his right eye. Because some people don't show it like that, and some people do. I don't. So it's really kind of hard, you know what I mean, to go by that to say who took the more damage. I didn't know. I guess precisely something about wraps that you can stack wraps and do shit like that.
You know why I'm saying this? Because Lara fucked his face up way more than Triple G ever did.
And a lot of that, listen, when you sweat, right? If you don't get the reason why they put that jelly on, when you snap that leather glove and you're sweaty, which is salty, it catches and it literally tears your skin. That's how it tears. Or unless it's just such a thudding shot, it just opens you up through just explosion of pressure. But most of the time, it's just a tear. It catches it the right way, and it literally tears your skin. And certain gloves are known as cutters. That's why the UFC uses that type of glove, and it's that design. They want the blood in the beginning is what sold the sport. But, yeah, I'll let somebody else talk. I mean to ramble.
I just want to add some little thing, please. So today on the internet, someone was asking just the same question, like who took the more damage the last night. and I just said I thought that if you see Golovkin, his face is getting very easily marked in pretty every fight, any fight, more or less. And I was saying it reminds me. Okay, his skin is not on the level of Provodnikov, but it reminded me of that. So I thought, yeah, he gets easily bruised and marked. But the one who I mean, I don't want to sound as a Triple G groupie or his apologist, but realistically, I saw him just hurt once by body shots, while I saw him rocking Canelo 3 or 4 times. So I think that it was not visible, but I think that he gave more damage to Canelo than the opposite way.
I got a question for all you guys. Who you guys thought was the stronger guy? Legitly the stronger guy between these
Obviously,
two?
Canelo, man. Obviously.
Canelo.
Yeah, stronger guy, but who got rocked? That's the question.
Canelo.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm like,
I saw a GG hurt.
I didn't
I
see
saw his body hurt.
Oh, he took
I saw
some body
too,
shots, but not to the head. He was never buzzed. He was never like fucking Bambi-footed or gloss-eyed, looking all over the place. Like the guy just said, his left arm, when he caught him, that left arm just went completely limp. No, he shut his lights out for a couple of seconds, which is just that much more impressive. But when I tell you something that bothers me, see people online, I mean on Twitter, and some guys I have a lot of respect for too, kind of cutting GGG up for fucking bouncing on the... Now think about it, right? You know it was being whispered in his ear because those guys know what the fucking announcers are saying. Tom's being told. You know somebody whispered to G, oh, yeah, man, Max was ripping you up, right? If you were him, would you want to stand around and talk to that fucking douchebag?
No.
You know what I mean? I would have bounced too, right? And so people I respect kind of cut into him. Oh, that showed he was being a sore loser. I'm like, how about no? He's just kind of getting bent over, and does he really want to talk to this fucking douchebag who's bad mouthing, but it's gonna start, hey champ, how you doing? Like,
exactly. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for a great fight. We have to commend you, Triple G, for fighting a great fight. But we were watching ringside, and we didn't get the feeling that you were winning the story of the fight. Shut up, man.
No, the thing is, Golovkin felt robbed. That's it. Golovkin felt like he was robbed, and he was pissed off. I mean, that's pretty much it. I think he felt robbed again and fucking bounced.
Kellerman probably would have asked him, been like, how? So now that you've been marked up against Canelo, you have to think that Andre Ward would have probably stopped you 2 years ago.
Yeah, right. Like he would bring something that has nothing to do with it. Like
exactly.
Canelo is not a super middleweight. Andre Ward is.
Did this to you. Listen, asshole. What does Ward have to do with this fight?
Oh, he brought him up a bunch of times during the telecast. He wouldn't stop bringing.
It's like Ward Kovalev too. No, it's not because
exactly.
It's like is not on the ground.
He's getting torn up the way Andrew Ward tears my ass up every night. Like, shut the fuck. Man, listen, nobody cares about your perversions and your perverted man love.
I didn't watch the. Thank God, I didn't watch the HBO broadcast, so I don't know what they were saying.
Roy Jones was awful too.
No, you know what? They were equally being biased. Some were being more biased to GGG, some were being more biased to.
Who was being more biased
to GGG?
Yeah, who was being more biased to GGG?
Letterman scored the fight.
How is he biased?
He was just judging the fight. That's what they pay him for. Exactly.
So now you guys are fans of Letterman.
What was this?
You guys are fans of Letterman scorecards.
ElDude is right about that, though. ElDude's right. It was on and off. Sometimes they were Canelo. Sometimes they picked Triple G.
They had no choice, but they
recognize that kind of fight.
Equally biased, man.
Hold on. One
By the way, for people who don't know, Letterman's card was 116, 112 for Golovkin.
Right.
Exactly. That's my point.
That's not terrible. Man. I had it that.
I had it.
But you guys hate Canelo personally.
No, I don't. I'm not a fan of him, but I gave him full credit because again, I like.
Oh my bad! I thought you were D style or style boxing, whatever.
Boxing style.
I hate Canelo. I just told you I don't judge fights like that, though. I don't. I just don't do that. I have to make sure if he lost, he lost. That's how I'm gonna say it.
Jim Lampley, you could tell, was pissed because you see him a couple of times. Listen, no disrespect, ElDude. I'm not trying to get into with you on that. But listen, if you think Letterman was biased, that's again that's open to determine. But Jones, first off, hates white people. I'm not going to tiptoe around it. He fucking hates white people. Make no mistakes. I've read about the shit he said, and I've seen interviews he's done. Listen, he almost doesn't even hide it. But anyways, so
I got
that's
no opinion
that.
on that. I don't know.
But Kellerman, fucking dude, it was so bad. Like I just said.
Everybody dropped off.
Yeah, the people dropped off. All right, but hold on. Before I want to get back, I want to hear some substantiated claims about Roy Jones hating white people, because I do remember he used to shit on Vladimir Klitschko a lot, and this is coming from a guy who made a video about Klitschko being boring. So, just real quick, Jimmy, what did you hear about? Let's go into rumors.
Tallahassee. I heard that. Listen, I heard from a kid who said he was sparring down there at the gym years ago. This was back when I really was into Jones, so it kind of bummed me out. And this is back in the '90s, and he was saying he was down in Tallahassee where he lives,
right.
And he said in the gym he said some really like fucking shit. But back then you said shit because it was not everybody whipped out a cell phone and put you on record. You know what I mean? Like you just got to watch what you say now. But
right.
So and yeah, I mean, look at the fucking some of the people he's been out with in the '90s. He was hanging around with the fucking black Muslims. You know what I mean? Dude, you ain't gonna find the only thing they hate more than white people is black cops. You know what I mean?
Right.
Seriously, that's the fucking. It is what it is. Louis Farrakhan.
You guys cannot deny the fact that Roy Jones Jr. man's all time one of the best, man.
He was great, man.
Yeah, man.
He is.
Inside of the ring of boxing, he's one of my favorites. Yeah.
When I saw him losing the Olympics, man, and he just sat there until almost the lights were shut off, he was just sitting there, and it was unbelievable. He beat the guy's name was Kim. He beat that Korean so badly that the judges felt bad. So every judge to themselves all went on record and said, well, I felt bad. I just figured I'd give it to the Korean kid because they're in Korea. So all three judges took that stance, or two out of the three, and he lost his gold medal.
You know who had a good night of boxing? Oscar De La Hoya, man. He put an entertaining fight. I mean, the card, and a lot of them were ending in knockouts. The fans just.
All right, but let me ask you something, guys. Very quick.
No, hold on. Okay, go ahead, quick.
Jose Ramirez and Munguia, they had very wonderful performances. Lemieux, I don't know because it was too early, but it was a great knockout. That's all I want to say.
I heard Lemieux winning that fight, but I didn't expect the first round knockout.
What did you? Oh, okay, I thought you said. I thought
he meant joke, man.
No. He means.
The first round knockout.
Yeah, he means he predicted that Lemieux was going to win that one.
She's what? What's up?
Didn't Boxing Styles be in jail?
I'm in jail right now, bro. I'm in cell. I'm just talking. Okay.
Well, I think it's official. Golden Boy has planted their flag with HBO, and HBO, if they're staying in the Balkans business, has obviously rewarded them. And I just think a lot of that's that. And if it's true, and Triple G does go off to DAZN, and if you're Bob Arum, would you want any promoter who has a heavy hitter, money guy? Would you want to send him to Vegas to fight Canelo?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just being honest.
I think so because just the economic, knowing his age is the biggest factor here.
But they're not all going to pull around that kind of money. But most people are going to make a fraction of what Canelo makes. Like if he was to fight, say, Charlo, do you know what the split would be? It would be ridiculously one-sided towards Canelo because the fact is that Charlo just doesn't have the fucking name, doesn't have the the backing.
Yeah, he doesn't.
So
how do you see the split versus? I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Against someone like Charlo, he'd be lucky if he get 30%. Not even 30.
Matrix was going to say. I cut off.
No, I would say he would get like 20%, maybe.
Yep.
Which is more money than he's
probably
going to make in his whole career. I mean, because a fight. Listen, at this point, Golovkin is the golden ticket, right? I know that's a corny saying, but he is. He's the golden boy. You want to fight him. That's the guy that's going to get you your biggest career payday. So I think the question was, would you send, if you're like another promoter, would you want to send your guy to fight Canelo? Of course. Big money.
Everybody wants to fight Canelo.
It's a big money
All right,
fight.
guys, we're going to have to... Go ahead, Greg. Can I finish?
I'm sorry, no.
Wait, hold on. Okay, because we're going to go into like a question to each panelist. So we're gonna start with recognize.
Sure.
So the question is, what do you want to see next for Canelo and for Golovkin?
Oh man, that's a nice question. You know, I personally don't want to see the third fight, but if they make it happen, I'll definitely watch. What I would like to see from Canelo is for him to defend his belts. More importantly, just to defend his belts. So if Charlo, look, I don't care what Charlo's worth or not worth. Fight Charlo. I think he wins that fight. David Lemieux sounds more likely because it's an in-house fight. I think he stops David Lemieux. Um, I want to see him continue fighting on the Mexican holidays because it's a great atmosphere. Yes, I know politics play into it, but I don't think Canelo really needs the politics when it comes to just about every fighter in the game. I think he's that good. Um, so if I had to say more likely David Lemieux, I think that outside of Golovkin and maybe even Golovkin, I favor Canelo over every middleweight, just about.
All right, official boxing scorecard. What do you want to see next for Canelo and Golovkin?
Well, for Canelo, mostly I would like him to fight Charlo, or I also wanted him to fight Jacobs, but the last fight he wasn't looking great. Same for it depends. It's the same thing for Billy Joe Saunders. It depends on how he's going to look against Andrade. Andrade, whatever is the way you pronounce his name, but mostly against Charlo. Well, yeah, Lemieux would be a fun fight. It would be an exciting fight. It would make him look great, but I don't think he needs it. I would like him to see. I would like to see him against Charlo. And Golovkin, well, yeah, he can still hang with those other guys, but uh, I don't know. If I was at his place, in his shoes, I would probably retire. Or why not see him against Charlo, either Charlo or Billy Joe Saunders?
All right, ElDude, same question.
What I want to see from GGG is to
From
get right back
both.
on the
Okay,
from
yeah.
both. Yeah, no, especially from GG is to get back on the bus, man. I mean, he's definitely gonna have to start from the bottom, but I want to see him to get back quick. And when I mean quick, I mean at least 3 fights a year. Those first 3 fights have to be against credible opponents in the top 10. I don't give a shit who they are, if they're 10, ranked 10, 9, and 8. But he has to go in there, knock them all out, and keep banging on the door of Canelo. Because Canelo, in my opinion, he's not going to get that trilogy versus GGG until that third fight because of the WBC whole defense. Don't quote me on this. I think the way the WBC works is one mandatory defense and one voluntary defense. So the mandatory, of course, has to be Jamal Charlo. If it's a voluntary defense, I don't know, man. If you guys look at it, I think Kell Brook might get it just because of the money might make it. He's ranked in the WBC and he's ranked somewhere in the top 10. And because of the money and the way we've seen Brook cash out, I think that's going to probably be the next fight for Canelo.
All right, boxing style. Go ahead.
The money is pointing out in the direction of Triple G, but I don't know if I want to see Triple G again, just like Mitch is saying. I'm not sure if that's a good idea because he's gonna be older, and I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna.
This is just insane.
Yo, are you back in Iraq, man, or what?
No, that's. I think that was.
Man, I'm done, man.
That's not me. It's ElDude.
Yeah, that's ElDude.
Who?
ElDude, please mute your mic, man.
Oh.
ElDude, it ain't me.
I'm surprised.
What do you mean surprised?
What?
I thought it was fucking boxing styles.
Oh,
no, bro, that wasn't me. Yeah, I think come up with the noises, right? No, it's not me. It was ElDude. He got this mic on.
All right, continue boxing style.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the money is still Triple G. Like if I was Canelo, I would go for the Triple G fight the third time because that's the money. That's money fight right there. I don't think Saunders is gonna produce as much as another Triple G fight. But the next one would be Saunders, and then after Saunders, if Charlo does some shit, maybe Charlo. like fight somebody like Jacobs. Maybe it'll be Charlo right after that. For Triple G, obviously it's the same thing. Go for Canelo, but if Canelo does not happen, then you would have to go for somebody like Charlo. That's his next best option. But I'm pretty sure if it goes to a decision, they might take it away from him with Charlo. If Charlo does the Danny Jacobs thing, they might take it away from him. That's what I'm saying. But
all right, Jimmy.
Man, sorry about the volume right there. I got my kids with the karaoke and shit. I was distracting myself. I was talking about Brooke, and I don't know what the heck I was talking about.
Karaoke.
Like
That's okay. Just guys, you just mute your mics. You know, I know it's something we forget. Okay, Jimmy, go ahead.
Okay. First off, the WBC is going to do whatever Canelo tells them to do. He's got that kind of weight. But I think Canelo is going to. I don't think that the trilogy, if it happens, is definitely not going to happen next. Canelo's going to want. He's in the driver's seat. He's not going to want to deal with that bullshit again. Why should he? He can go make fucking especially after whether anybody agrees whether he wins or not. Oh, by the way, I sent you in the Hangouts, Bucho, a list of 37 of the top writers from Sports Illustrated to ESPN. All the guys cover, right? 14 had it a draw, 2 had it for Canelo, and the rest had it for Triple G. But anyways, so what was I going to say? As for Triple G, I think he should go to Bora Bora with his wife and kids, and then and I think a lot of his pain was fucking subsided when he was handed his check. But I think he's going to take on like that Mongia kid, maybe in China, or they'll do something. Tom will put something together to get some flash into it. I think if he's going to continue to fight, if he doesn't retire, he has to stay active now. He has to go back to 3 times a year, because I know it sounds almost counterproductive, but as you get older, you got to do it more often to keep your body acclimated to it.
That's right.
So yes, 3 times a year. Canelo's going to fight. It's not going to be Charlo, either one of them, because listen, he's the PBC. They just signed that big deal with Fox and Showtime. He's their number one. He's that place's number one outfit's number one middleweight. They're not going to farm him out to Hearn, and they're not. Golden Boy and HBO. And there's no way either Canelo or Triple G going to fight on Showtime, right? We all know that. So Canelo's out, and Charlo, especially when they signed that deal with Fox and made public the Showtime deal. They're going to keep that shit in house. I think Canelo will fight Lemieux. It's tailor made. He'll put him out in 3 or 4 rounds, similar to Kirkland. Just make even more money, and so that's my.
I was looking at the rankings. Sorry, but I got distracted.
All right, one last thing,
because I got confused with the Charlo brothers. But I don't. Gennady Golovkin, wasn't he the super champion? And would that make Canelo the super champions? And super champions do not have mandatories.
Listen, dude, you're too focused on mandatories and all that. Canelo's gonna do what he wants to do, man. He doesn't. He's
above the belts now. He will drop the belts if necessary. So
yeah, he doesn't.
I don't think he has to. I don't think he has to, because I think Gennady is was the super champion, and I think Jamal is the regular champion.
Yeah, but super champions, I understand the titles, but they all still have to face mandatories if they're in the last time. But this way, remember what happened last time? The BC gave him even the slightest lip. What did he do? Yeah, here's your belt. Fuck you. Remember, he just gave it up. Exactly. like Bucho just said in BDA, that he's bigger than the belt now.
All right, now let me say
do whatever it has to do to get that money, that sanction.
We gotta. Unfortunately, we have to.
Hold on. BDA, go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to go, but we're gonna be back during the week. We're gonna be doing another podcast because again, we didn't even scratch the surface of everything that we had to touch upon. We didn't even talk about the undercard. We didn't even talk about Ramirez versus Orozco and how good Ramirez looked in that one. Of course, we're gonna talk. And of course, we're gonna talk about Joshua versus Povetkin coming up this Saturday, and many more fights to come. So I know it was only a 2-hour podcast, but it's just when you have a packed house, it goes even longer because then we have to delegate. All right, you talk, then you talk, then you talk, then it's your turn. Otherwise, it just becomes a fucking nobody hears each other. Especially when it becomes a heated debate like the one we were having earlier. And by the way, none of you guys won the story of the debate. You had some good points in there, but it wasn't enough to win the story of the debate. And by the way, what the fuck does that mean, man? Because just one last comment here. I understand when you can say that somebody is winning the momentum For example, Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor, classic example. Taylor is winning the rounds, but he's getting busted up, and you can tell it's only a matter of time before he gets stopped or dropped or whatever. I understand that. Kellerman wasn't saying that. He keeps saying, yeah, Triple G's landing more shots, but he's not winning the story of the fight. In other words, he's telling you, if you read in between the lines, he's telling you, look, he's winning the fight, but he's not gonna get the decision because we all know what's up, and we don't want him to win the decision. That's what I interpreted Max Kellerman's words. It was his subconscious.
You can interpret it that way, but I kind of understand that just to give him a little, I guess props, or validation. The story, I think what he's referring to is like the war. Who was winning the war? I can see somebody saying, I think Triple G is winning the fight, but the war is being won by Canelo.
But how many guys are like us, though, right? How many guys have your intelligence in the sport? Not many, right? So what he's doing is telling the average. He's telling the average Joe at home, like people we know that who just follow it because that's the big fight. So know what the story of the fight is? It's the commentator telling the story, you asshole.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And he's winning the story. It's like you said, he couldn't even help but rat on himself. Sorry for cutting you off, by the way.
I think what he meant by that is like, Triple G is older, and his career is getting close to an ending.
Let me ask everybody.
Guys, we have to end the show.
Sorry, you're right.
So
let me finish this, Jimmy, and you can say whatever you feel.
No, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Boxing Style, leave it for next time, man. Because we and I have to end this shit. Next time, man.
Guys.
Spoken to y'all, man, like always.
All right, thank you guys for showing up.
See you guys.
See you next time. YouTube. All right.
See ya.
BDA.
Yeah, this is
Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, man. Thank you, everybody. Thanks everybody for showing up, and everybody in the chat room as well. Here's the thing. I felt like we had to keep some order on this episode because I wanted to hear from everybody, and otherwise, if we just let everybody talk over each other, then we don't get to hear anybody. But again, we barely scratched the surface, and even then, it was 2 hours of what we talked. So next time we're gonna come back. I want everybody to let's not forget the points we made or the points we wanted to make. All right, so we'll come back during the week with another podcast. I want to thank who was here. Okay, so official boxing scorecard was here. Fight Fan Phil, ElDude, Boxing Style, Trap Media, Jimmy, Precise was in here for a while as well. I think I already said ElDude, Cameron, Apology Man, who left pretty early himself. Recognize the Matrix, of course. So thanks again, guys, for joining us. Boxing Style as well. I think I didn't forget him. I hope no. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna be back, like I said, with another podcast. Bucho, myself,
and those who donated as well.
Yeah, thanks for everybody for those who donated. Apology donated. Undercover Asian, I think it was also.
Yeah.
Who donated.
Asian.
What?
Undercover Asian.
Yeah, that's what I said, didn't I?
Oh yeah, I heard agent.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, because I got some people following me. That's why I got that in my mind. Undercover Asian, and Apology Man. So again, guys, thanks a lot. We do have to go. It's gonna be 10 p.m. But again, we're coming back. Oh, ElDude, of course. I think did I forget ElDude? Anyway, guys know who you are. Now, of course, we do have to thank everybody in the chat room as well. But don't forget, before we get to that, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this episode. Don't forget to check out our affiliate links. Don't forget to check out the Was Vladimir Klitschko Boring video. And now I want to thank everybody that was in the chat room. Hakuna Matata, ElDude was in there as well. The Fight Scout, Jason Nguyen, X, John Gonzalez, The Fight Scout, Canelo, Give Me My Fight, Roddy Davis, Steven Skillrose, Ray G006, Shepherd of Sons, Tommy Boxeo, Real News, Cameron was in there as well, Nopal, Rock Forever, who else was in there? Come on, Brandon White, and many more. You guys know who you are. Pedro Magallanes, Hakuna Matata, I already said. Nino Gadji, of course, can't forget him. You guys know who you are. Thanks for joining us.
Dono as well,
yeah. Shepherd Azzy, who says BDA, I hate you. Of course, he's trying to use reverse psychology. If you read between the lines, he says BDA, I love you. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back during the week. Take care. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.